Welcome back, everyone, after the much deserved lunch break. We have our first item after lunch by Jayashree Kamble, Studying in India versus the US Professor's Perspective. I will not reintroduce her, we already went through that in the morning. So, Jayashree, please come over.
So I was just curious, are any of our new cohort here? Can I?
Can we have them introduce first?
The folks who are actually.
I think let's do that.
Anybody?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
So, everybody is here?
Yeah, most of them will come over.
Okay.
Just ask them to come over and.
Oh, okay. Could we have some of our wonderful new students who are starting this year come on up and just introduce yourself?
Hi. Hello, everyone.
You can sit there.
Okay.
Let's do that.
It's fine.
Yeah. For now, it's fine. Good afternoon. It's good to be here. My name is Arjul Bhagat, and currently I'm pursuing Masters in Information Technology at Rutgers University. And this is my first sem. Done my bachelor's from in computer engineering from Mumbai University, and I've had internship for 6 months and certification. I've done certification, Oracle certification. And all.
Okay, welcome.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jay Borkar. I graduated this year from Reliance Institute of Technology in Computer Science, and I joined Rutgers University for Master of Information Technology program this semester. And I've done like a lot of internships in during my graduations, like in IIMs and some in ONGC and some in Schlumberger University for software development. So yeah, that's it.
Welcome.
Jai Bhim to all. Yeah. I am Sunita Muneshwar. I done my undergraduate study from Mumbai University, and I just came here in August and pursuing my master in Revere University. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mayuri Dongre Avcharmal, and I'm pursuing my master's from Fordham University in data analytics, and I have completed my BTech and MTech from in electronics engineering. And after that, I was working with Capgemini India for 2 years, and right now I'm here. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Soumya Papaganti. I'm doing my master's in computer science from University of Bridgeport. I did my undergraduation in electronics and communications, and this is my third semester. Thank you.
Is that the roundup?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Antariksh Wagmare. I've done my graduation from Mumbai, from Sardar Patel in electronics and telecommunication. And I'm studying at Penn State University at Harrisburg with my major in information systems. And this is my first semester.
Hello everyone, and Jai Bhim. My name is Pratik Nikam, and I'm doing my last year of my bachelor's degree from Penn State University, and my major is in information science and technology. And I'm looking for a full-time position if anyone has to offer. That's the most important thing.
Is that everybody? Yeah, okay. 10 minutes, Sanjay sir?
I think we have 15 minutes, but correct?
I think, yeah. Any freshers for 2017 fall, guys? Any students?
Or any newcomers?
आजूबाजूला सर. Better? ठीक है? All right. So, thank you again, everybody, for coming, and welcome again to all our new students. We're so pleased, so happy to have all of you here. Congratulations on taking this massive step in your life, and we're here to support you. So this is a part of sort of helping you guys get acclimated into the new environment that you're entering, especially if it's your first semester. And I thought I would talk a little bit about the differences that there are in the perspective from the Indian versus the American side of academia. So just actually to quickly go back, if people want to see, most of my presentation here is actually adapted from that website. That's actually where I went to graduate school. That's University of Minnesota, and they have a amazing guide for incoming students, and so that's what I picked data from. So if you want to look at it in more detail, please do use that URL. So graduate school in the US, and in India we call it postgraduate education. Here it's just called grad school. I thought I'd give you a little bit of an overview. So most graduate students will typically take about 2, maybe 3 courses at most in a semester. A semester is usually about 15 weeks long, sometimes a little bit shorter. And there are usually, that means 6 to 9 credits, okay, for a full-time program. And most of the time, while you're actually taking courses in the early part of your career, you're also holding maybe part-time jobs as a teaching assistant or a research assistant. Usually, this is more prevalent in PhD programs, but you can certainly even try to do this as master's students in your second year or even maybe your second semester. Apart from going to class and working, you're also spending time on comprehensive exams. Usually there's something at the end of your coursework where you have to take a big series of exams, and then you're working on extended writing projects, some kind of thesis or dissertation. You should also understand the role of faculty on this side. So most of us do multiple things. We teach, we're often supervising students who are doing independent things, and we advise individual students one-on-one. And part of our job is also to contribute to scholarship. So we're often working on research that is eventually going to lead to the publication of articles and books. And there are a ton of other administrative duties, like sitting on different committees for the college. So you should be aware from both what is expected from you in this respect, as well as what the faculty member is doing. And I particularly emphasize this because sometimes there is a cultural difference. I don't know how many of you, when you were in college or even doing a master's in India, had any kind of relationship with your professor outside of class. Anybody? I don't think there was that concept at all. And so there is that expectation here that you do actually establish a connection with your professors. But you should also be aware that the professor has limited amounts of time. So you want to be very aware of when you're asking to interact with them. Make sure you know when it is that they can actually talk with you, and take advantage of whatever time they give you in order to fulfill whatever task it is that you and they agree on. Okay? I want to talk a little bit about the concept of credits. I know that this has now become something in India, right? People do have GPAs and credit systems in some colleges. I feel like I hear it from my nieces and nephews. But to sort of break that down a little bit in case you don't know what that means. So 1 credit typically stands for 1 hour of in-class instruction per week. That's what it means. So if you have a 3-credit course, it means you are meeting with a professor for 3 hours every week. Okay, that's what a credit stands for. When you sign up for a course, you might have a 0-credit course. So something like English as a second language class might have 0 credits. You still have to attend and do whatever the professor requires you to do, but you may not earn a credit for it. There's no sort of thing going on your transcript that says you earned something. And they can range up to 5 credits. Oftentimes, if it's a lab course, you might have 4 credits of lecture instruction and then 1 hour in a lab of some sort. This rule of thumb that I put on here is something I actually tell my undergraduates, but I think it's a good rule for everybody to understand, is that for every hour of in-class work, you should typically be spending 3 hours on homework outside in order to earn a C. So if you want more than that, then you multiply that. My undergrads kind of faint to the floor in shock when I tell them this. because you go to once you finish high school, you sort of get the sense that, oh, there's so much freedom. I only have 3 courses, and that's only 9 hours of meeting with a professor in a week. The rest of the time, it's like party. No, the rest of the time, you have to really organize your time. Graduate students, which many of you are, might also have the option of signing up for thesis credits. And these don't involve any actual in-class instruction. You're not actually going to class in the same way. It's just the university's tracking that you are doing your research project, you're writing your dissertation. So it's actually an administrative thing so that you are registered in the system. And this is very, very crucial for international students to keep track of, because it affects how your visa is reported to CVIS. And so you want to make sure that even when you're not actually taking classes, you're checking in with your international student advisor and registering for whatever it is you're supposed to register that counts as full-time status. Okay. I'm just giving you a GPA chart over here simply because, again, I think in India they are doing a GPA system, but it's a little bit different. And so typically in the United States, your GPA ranges from, as you can see, under a 1 point to 4 points. So 4.0 is typically considered the highest grade that you can achieve. That's where you get the A. There are some schools that might do an A+, but that's really kind of unusual. This is actually the usual grade range that you get. At the very bottom of that list, you might see there is an S. So there are classes that you can register for that have an SN grade instead of an A through F grading process. And what that means is S just represents satisfactory. So you have completed whatever it is that the class required you to do, and so you get an S. There is no GPA attached to it, so it doesn't affect your GPA in any way. Pass-fail courses, which is what those are, satisfactory, non-satisfactory, you might have a certain percentage of the amount of courses you take that you could take SN or pass-fail. So it might be like 15% or 20% of your coursework can be a pass-fail grade. You usually want to save those things for things that are not really that crucial to your degree. And so you don't want to worry about the GPA that you're going to get in those classes, but you need to pass that course and you need that requirement fulfilled. So sometimes people might do that for a language course if they're actually in a STEM field and they don't need the GPA to affect anything. Like your future employer won't care about it, but you need to pass the course. That's when you do an SN. Primary features of American higher ed, as I noted over here, the major goal of American higher ed is that you develop some critical thinking, and Suraj just talked about this earlier as well. And it's kind of fundamental to the system over here. So you're asked to ask questions. You have to engage with your professor in these ways. They want you to be someone who can solve problems, someone who is really interested in finding things out for themselves. So curiosity, to go back to a question that was raised very earlier, is actually a primary skill you need to cultivate in this system. There's a lot of classroom discussion in many cases. Even if you have a massive lecture course, sometimes 100, 200 students, certain professors might actually call on you and ask you to respond. You, of course, also have one-on-one consultation with faculty, and there's many out-of-class learning opportunities that are important. And it's important for me that you recognize how valuable this is, because again, our typical training culture in India doesn't lend itself to this system, right? The system, at least I grew up in, I've had fellow students who were kicked out of class for smiling, you know. That's, you know, like in India, we have that man upman thing, and you have to be very formal with your professor, and you can't meet their eyes, and you cannot, you know. So that will actually work against you in the system. Okay, like not making eye contact is really seen as a sign of untrustworthiness. The ability to not ask questions is not seen as a sign of humility. It's seen as a lack of curiosity. It might even be interpreted as hostility, that the student is actively upset about being in this class. So you really do want to sort of reframe the way you present yourself to the world and to the people around you in those classrooms. Okay? And do as much as you can outside of the class as much as possible. All kinds of learning opportunities will lend themselves to you, and you should take advantage of them. So try not to be again in that older system where everything is, you know, in Marathi we have the word like ghokampatti, where all you do is mug all the time, and you don't want to do that kind of work. You know, that work is important, but you have to find time to do other kinds of learning as well, and there'll be lots of opportunities on campus to do that, right? This one I really again want to emphasize. I don't know what is taught about collaboration and academic honesty in Indian universities. I know that when I was in college there, I was not taught anything of the concept of plagiarism and academic honesty and integrity. This is a fundamental value in the United States, that you are expected to use other people's knowledge, but you have to track your sources. You have to be very explicit about where you got your data from. If you're using someone's words exactly as they said it, you have to put it in quotation marks. And every discipline has its own system of how you are expected to do those things. So in my field, which is the humanities, the Modern Languages Association, or the MLA, has very clear guidelines about how I will attribute my sources. You might be in other fields where they have their own guidelines. The APA is a big one, American Psychological Association, the CMS, the Chicago Manual of Style. So pretty much every field has its own way of giving credit where you have sources used. So you are expected to always be thinking collaboratively, but you are also expected to always give credit where you took someone's ideas. So the sample statement I've given you here is the kind of thing a professor will put on the syllabus that is handed to you at the beginning of any semester. Or it might be on the university's academic integrity website. Violation of academic integrity is considered a big no-no, and the punishment for it can range. So when I first started teaching, I was very strict about it. I would just fail the student. No negotiation, no excuses, nothing. I would just fail them. I've sort of changed my stance on it a little bit, because now I have more students who come from different academic cultures, so I know I have to teach them what this concept is, that people maybe they weren't trying to cheat, they just didn't know. But that's something that you should sort of be very aware of. And if you're not sure, and for whatever reason your professor doesn't have time to explain, especially when you're in grad school, they may already expect you to know these rules because they think all the undergraduates have been taught. So if you're not sure of that and they can't explain it to you, go to a writing center. All university campuses have writing centers, and they have resources to help you understand how to cite your sources. Okay, so that's really, really important. So collaborate, but actually always make sure that you say where you got things from. This one, diversity is also a key value in the United States. Again, the sample statement is one that I have on my syllabus, also called as pluralism sometimes. Irrespective of what is currently happening, the values of the United States are sort of rooted in the concept of diversity. Okay, so even though a lot of these things are under attack right now, it is kind of a fundamental value system, and in universities you are really expected to uphold the ideas of equality between all people, irrespective of their gender, their race, their class, their sexual orientation, and so forth. And so you always want to be very careful about how you speak of people. Even jokes are damaging, and always better to sort of listen and try to understand what the environment of a particular place is than sort of assuming that whatever you think might be inappropriate is somehow the general rule for that place. Okay. Some suggestions for being an engaged learner: read the syllabus. Again, when I was in college, we didn't really have a thing like a syllabus that the professor gave us. I think I could go to some office and there would like a general outline of the course or something, but we didn't have. So you'll get a syllabi, make sure to read it, make sure to like keep track of all the deadlines that might be mentioned, because you'll have assignments all the time. So that's something you have to plan ahead for. Get a planner, put those deadlines in there so that you're actually following what the syllabus is saying. Ask for help from campus resources. Again, things like the Writing Center, the International Student Office. There may be a health and wellness center. If you feel like, especially your first semester, you're going to experience a dip in your endorphin levels and you're going to feel pretty bad. So there is help available. Don't feel sad and like sit in your dorm room or whatever and feel like, oh, I'm the only person who's experiencing this. There's something wrong with me. And of course, participate and meet with professors and other students. These are some general tips, and I'm happy to share this presentation. I think we're a little bit tight on time. I think I'm almost done. But, be active, participate, manage your time, develop your critical thinking, just sort of get over the hurdle of thinking, if I ask a question, if I pose something that's not commonly believed, that I'll be slapped down. People will just say, okay, if that's your claim, find me the evidence. Okay, so you have to sort of learn to present yourself in that way. People are competitive, but not in the same sort of insane way we are in India. It's I think a more healthier and data-based kind of competition, and people really value your hard work and what you achieve at the end. Take responsibility for yourself, and it is common, I think, that it's a culture that sort of values equality, and at the same time it values informality, and that's a tricky thing to try to negotiate. Because if you're from a very formal hierarchical culture, then it's because there is an unequal thing in the society itself. And then if you interact with a culture that's very informal, like my professors will often say, just call me by my first name, which I still can't do. I mean, that it's not a barrier that I can really break. But you can be informal in other ways, and while still maintaining whatever is your own understanding of hierarchy. Be direct and straightforward. Vinaya talks about this quite a bit, I think, because of your workplace as well, right? Like, you want to be honest and you want to be straightforward in your interactions, in your emails, and always be aware of tone, right? Especially in electronic communication, sometimes miscommunication occurs very quickly if you are not able to convey something. But I'll end on sort of a humorous note where that is concerned. I have heard about a student who would keep calling his female professor madam, right? Because that's what we do, right? In India, we say madam. But at one point, she got very irritated with him and she said, "Please stop calling me madam. I feel like I own a brothel." So just be aware that, communication can have some gaps sometimes, but you can learn, okay? I'm happy to answer questions either now or later. Okay? I don't know if anybody's online or checking that, but maybe we can do it at the end for the break.
Anybody taking questions from India? I am taking questions.
झोपले असतील.
You clarified so much there on.
Okay.
Maybe I have one question.
Okay.
So just
That's
the
all.
last point that you mentioned
Yeah.
regarding, people have preferences.
Yeah.
The culture, there are cultural differences.
Yeah.
If you're told something very clearly that do it certain way,
Yeah.
and you still are not able to, tune yourself to that new culture, how is that perceived? Because to me, I see our students
Yeah.
still holding on to their Indian cultural values, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we have to, could you touch upon how quickly they should learn and
Yeah. I mean, adaptation is something that, in a very Darwinian sense, do you want to survive or not is the crucial thing, right? So if you cannot adapt to a new environment and what cues you're getting, you should expect that you're not going to move up in certain ways, that certain rewards will be denied to you because people can't read you and you don't fit their understanding. And so my own sense is that you should constantly be trying to get cues from everywhere in your culture, right? So you want to watch a lot of popular culture because the cues rest in pop culture. You want to make friends with people who are not Indian, especially people who are locals. Because that's what happened to me, because I'm an English student, and in my field there was no one who was Indian. So I was perforce had to interact with people from the United States and from elsewhere. And so when I would make mistakes, they were close enough friends that they would tell me, right? So I'll give you an example. I was to when I came to the US, I knew that you shouldn't use the N word. Yes, like you shouldn't use the N word, it's racist, and I knew that. But I didn't know that you say person of color instead of the other way around, right? You don't use the adjective before the noun. That's also racist. I didn't know that. So I would keep saying that phrase till a friend of mine who's white sort of grabbed my shoulder and she said, "Jayashree, I am going to be the one who gets attacked if somebody overhears that coming from this interaction," right? She's like, people will assume I'm the racist. I was like, I don't understand. And I argued with her. I was like, I don't understand. This way or that way. Like, it's still the same thing, right? And she's like, no, you need to understand that there is a resonance of racism attached to that formulation. So whether you agree with it or not, you have to follow that rule. Unless you want to be the jerk who's going to hurt everybody's feelings so you can hold on to your understanding of the world. Right? So things like that. Like, I think you want to create a trustworthy group around you, people who are locals, hopefully, and who will sort of give you some of that advice. The International Student Office often also has cultural sensitivity training programs that you may want to attend. Those are good to do as well.
our new students will ask questions like, this is an opportunity for you to have,
No, please go ahead.
I'm not a new student, but
That's okay. Everybody is a new student. Didn't we establish that?
one of my classmate in this Mumbai, she was anti-development, anti-reservation.
Yeah.
She was basically,
Yeah.
like a hardcore so-called Hindu.
Yeah.
And she is a professor over here
Yeah.
in America. So I was thinking just one professor over here.
Yeah.
And, like create so much impact for Americans.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like, like we have Professor Lamas in the University of Pennsylvania. He creates awareness.
Yeah.
He has this discussion for
Yeah.
American students
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Indian students who are not at all aware about the
Mhm.
caste atrocities that
Yeah.
happen in India.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
They are, so basically,
Yeah.
I was thinking, even in your slide,
Yeah.
basically mention about caste. When we talk about race and everything,
Yeah.
basically mention about caste.
Yeah, yeah.
So that, like whether it's Indians or non-Indians,
Agreed.
they should, they're aware.
Agreed.
That's my bottom line.
Agreed.
Make them
Absolutely.
aware about this.
Absolutely. And it is certainly something that's part of my praxis, right? So every semester when I start teaching that first class period when I'm introducing myself to students, I'll tell them, like, do you know something about caste, right? And most people don't. And I actually don't have Indian students. Again, partly it's my field, partly it's because I live in New York. I don't know. But I'll ask them, and when they usually say, no, I don't know what that is, or is it like class? I will explain. Like I make it a part of my introduction so that people understand where I'm coming from. And I said this earlier too, right? Like when I said benefits of coming here is that we get to be the ambassadors for our history. We are the ambassadors of our history. Like who else is going to talk about it in the same way that we will? And I've often found it to be important to do here because especially the coasts are very diverse. And so people are already tuned in to the concept of social justice and fighting for it. And so there is a greater awareness on parts of people of all colors to listen and to sort of spread those ideas beyond. And I'll give you another example. I have a good friend who's white Caucasian, and she's a big practitioner of yoga. She's been doing it for many years. And when I started working there last year, she at one point sent me an email saying like, happy Hanuman Jayanti. So I wrote back to her and I said, are you joking? And she's like, oh my God, have I offended your, like Hindu gods? And I was like, okay, I think we need to have a talk. And so then, like I talked to her about my relationship to Hinduism and the caste system and so forth. And she went online and she like purchased everything I told her. I was like, download everything that's like Dr. Ambedkar's writing and speeches, like get the whole series. So now when she talks to her white friends who are really into yoga and are understanding India as this place of like perfection, she brings that conversation up. So I absolutely agree that dispersal is important.
On the
Suraj?
point of being an ambassador, I think it is also our responsibility as students
Yeah.
to educate, because it's like if you are in Penn State or California
Yeah.
or LaGuardia, we are actually representing the
Yeah.
whole kind of, and I think it's primarily our responsibility.
Yeah.
The way we see, for example, Palestinians if they are here,
Yeah.
or any other people from
Yeah.
other groups,
Yeah.
they present, like if an African is coming from Chad
Yeah.
or Senegal,
Yeah.
they explain to you about themselves, their
Yeah.
struggle.
Yeah.
Similarly, I think the reason we are here, one of the reasons is to also educate.
Yeah.
The same happened.
Yeah.
Many of us can relate to.
Yeah.
Same yoga thing.
Right.
And I think the people here are very open.
Yes.
To the critique.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
make a mistake,
Yeah.
they will very generously. They are good. They will accept you and they will explain you like they did.
Yeah.
But they are willing to learn. And
Yeah.
exactly what you are
Yeah.
perhaps they should do.
Yeah.
I think in
Yeah.
a way we kind of have that.
Yeah.
We have to tell how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Professor, how should students do that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the ways that I found it easy to get people to understand the caste problem in India is by talking here to people about affirmative action and the battles over affirmative action, because a lot of people understand that concept. And so you can talk to them about the equivalent issues that we are having and why, as they know here, why affirmative action is important and why it's under assault here and how the same thing is being done to India. So I think students can talk about that to others as well.
I think our students should also maybe interact with other student groups
Yeah.
on campus.
Absolutely.
POCs, people of color,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the black groups, Latin
Yes.
American groups,
Absolutely.
and the DIQ groups,
Yeah.
Of course, South Asian groups are going to be there.
Right.
They are going to reproduce caste hegemony
Yes.
in their own form.
Yes.
But my experience with the black group, for example, I am part of a wide network, is when you speak with them, I mean, you know more about them,
Yeah.
but also get a space to learn. Many times,
Yes.
our students, example, they come to do technical courses. This is someone told me
Yeah.
that we come here for technical course, and our schedule is so tight
Yeah.
that we don't get time to do that.
Yeah.
How do you respond to that?
I think when something matters, you have to make the time. I mean, for us, like, the example is always going to be Dr. Ambedkar. Like, the man ate papad and slept a couple of hours each night. I don't see how any of us can make an argument that somehow our lives are busier than that. I just don't see that as a possibility. Yeah.
This is a question for new students actually from their side.
Yeah.
What I see is in our course, if I take a course, for example, I take a coursework of finance.
Yeah.
Okay, the professor, the marks or the grades, they are mostly like 35% or 40% on the exams or tests.
Correct.
You take,
Correct.
Otherwise, other than just your involvement and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, can you give us like a tip to how to interact with those professors?
Yeah.
Like in the free times out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Office hours or something.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so the question is that when you look at if you look at a syllabus for any course here, usually they'll give you a grade breakdown, right? So if, the grade is worth 100%, the grade breakdown would be 35% is going to be for the 4 exams you'll take over the course of the semester. But another 20% might be for a project that you do with 4 other people. Another 20% might be that you are going on some sort of like research or field trip, and you bring back data about that and you present it to the whole class. And so the grade gets broken down into multiple elements because they are testing different kinds of your learning process and your ability to present that data to others, rather than just, as I said earlier, just like the mugging style. And so if a big chunk of your grade is going to be about class participation and engagement, which most people do, in all my classes, it's at least 30% of the grade is participation. So how do you deal with that? So most of the times the professor, if they have that kind of criteria as part of the syllabus, they're going to create opportunities in the class period. So they will split a class up of 30 students, they'll split it into groups of 4. And you're given a task and you're expected to like interact with the students in your group and finish the task and usually report out to the larger group. So that's something that we're always tracking. We might actually have, ask questions to the whole group, and we're checking to see how many people are willing to respond, right? So are you the kind of person who kind of goes like that? Like hides your head when somebody asks a question and like hopes nobody like makes eye contact with you? Are you the one who's like, oh, I can engage with that? We're also paying attention to how much you listen to each other. Right, so I'm always paying attention to like, is there a student who only wants to talk? Because that's a problem sometimes with the American culture, where because you are rewarded for visibility, there'll be 1 or 2 people who constantly want to talk, right? And so I'm also checking to see like, are you listening to anybody else? Like, do you respond? Are you like willing to like take someone's idea and find out what's good about it? Give somebody else some congratulations for presenting something. So that's important too, that you have to show that you're interested in a dialogue rather than just a monologue. And then where the question of like office hours is concerned, some cases, but mostly for undergraduates, that there will be an element of the grade that's actually about how many times you went to meet the professor in their office hours. It's not really the case for graduate students, we don't do that. But where office hours are concerned, so the concept is that every professor is required by their university to have at least 1 hour a week per class that they teach set aside, where they will tell students, I'm here in my office for this time, on this day at this time, and you can come in and talk with them, right? So whether you have questions about your class or anything else, you can go and speak with the to the professor at office hours. And if you have a class during that time, you should always email the professor and say, please, I cannot come at this time, I have another commitment, may I see you at another time? Ask for an appointment at some other time. I always tell students that the only course in my entire time in the US in which I did not get an A was the course in which I did not go to the office hours, because it was a tough class and I didn't know what to do. I didn't understand the assignment, but her office hours were during another class, and I didn't understand that I could have contacted her and she would have accommodated my request another time. So that's why I have like a 3.9 instead of a 4.0. Like, it made a difference. So absolutely go to office hours, and if you really don't know what to say to them, and this is kind of a joke, but it's also true, just go and talk to them and ask them what they like in their research. Professors love to talk about themselves, okay? So, as you can tell. So if you have nothing else, just go there and be like, oh, I looked you up and you have this great article. Like, tell me a little bit about your current research. And they will just go on. And then once you leave, they will think, wow, that's such a smart student, right? So that would be the other thing. Everybody loves talking about themselves, yeah.
Sorry to comment on the benefits of students, for example, being part of on-campus social clubs
Yeah.
The causes. How will that help them in
Yeah,
the future?
absolutely. I mean, you want to think of everything as being holistically contributing to your resume, right? So part of it is intellectual growth. Of course, every interaction makes us become better people, right? All interactions in every possible venue. But there is also a practical benefit, right? So if you are going to be the head of the graduate student organization, that's something that will teach you a particular skill. It helps you handle people, it helps you organize things, it helps you think about interacting with folks. And you put that down on your resume as something that somebody in the future is going to value, either as an employer or for the programs that you're going to maybe apply to as a student. All of those things really do matter. And then the networks that you form with people that you work with on those student organizations, you never know how they're going to actually manifest to new opportunities. So you might meet someone that is from another country and you meet them through a particular student organization. In the future, they may know of an opportunity in their country that is a scholarship, that might be a job, that might be, something, or as someone joked earlier, someone to marry, I don't know. So there are unexpected benefits to interacting with people outside of the classroom as well. So I would say as much as you possibly can, you want to find time to make those connections with people. And the more visibility you have, especially in things like student organizations, the more seriously your department takes you. Because you do start to acquire political power, right? If you are the head of a graduate student organization, you have power on campus, right? So you do have leverage then to ask for things, both to improve everything for everybody else, but also for yourself. So the more you can do that, and it's good for you too. You don't always have to do like super politically aware things. Like join the film club, have some fun, like get to know people. Again, those things are useful. They help you improve your language skills. They help you become sort of like less shy. All of the things I think matter eventually, just in terms of personality development.
And I think as a group, you have very much good social capital.
Yeah.
In the sense that you can, example, host as a group on campus.
Yeah.
Let's say a big shot of some diversity of Google. Because it's a university, you are a social group. It kind of also helps you on a very personal level.
Absolutely.
And I think recommendations when your professor
Yeah.
writes, they very actively emphasize on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. The letter of recommendation is something that you should always be thinking is like happening around you. Always imagine that someone is watching you and potentially they could be a referee for you in the future. So everything you do, in theory, could end up in someone's letter of recommendation that will help you get a job, that will help you get a scholarship, that will help you, apply to a PhD program, what have you. So if they can say, oh, this, you give them your resume and they can say, okay, yeah, I remember, you organized this, you invited the speaker to campus, you organized, so it helps somebody to write a really robust letter. Agreed, yeah. You don't want the letter that says the student has a 4.0 GPA, like nobody cares. They can see that from your transcript, right? Like that's not what the letter of recommendation is for. It's really to give an insight into the kind of person you are and how you engage with your community. Good. All right.
Jayashree, thank you so much for those pearls of wisdoms coming straight from our professor's report. And I'm sure it will benefit the new students tremendously to avoid pitfalls and do's and don'ts and hit the ground running. Thank you again. The next item we have on the agenda is Culture Shock by Kapil Wankhede. Smita, yours is TBD. I'll wait for. Is it okay if we change the sequence on that one?
Okay, then she goes first.
Okay, does it matter the sequence? Okay, you are ready? Alright.
My name is Smita Dockmanner and I have been in the United States since 2004 and I have done my undergrad in finance and investment and my master's in accountancy and I'm currently working on my second master's in quantitative methods and modeling, all three from Baruch College, which is same university as Rajashree's, City University of New York. And I also have a side business of accounting that I work on part-time basis. And a little bit disclaimer, because sometimes when I talk and I realize that people pick one thing that I said and I'm like, no, I'm talking in general, just because, for example, something didn't happen to you doesn't mean it didn't happen to anyone else. So what I'm saying is based on my experiences, and I'm putting all my 10 years into 10 minutes. So sometimes it may sound like I'm talking about specific things, but no, I'm talking really general on average, like in statistics we say on average things happen. So I'm only talking from that point of view. So don't hold me accountable for something later. So let's get to business, and this is like a really famous thing that says get a major in a field you love, so you will never have to work in a day because nobody's hiring. So a lot of us have this dilemma that we like some things, we like few things, but then people aren't really hiring in that field, right? We can be like really good artists, and unfortunately, sometimes it's not easy to break it as a top artist unless you're extremely phenomenal. But still, there is like a lot of competition in those things. So my aim today is to kind of help you navigate that issue. And our parents always tell us you either have to be a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer. So, but that's a little extreme. There is a way we can balance both of these, and that's what my point today is. So the first step is like you have to be self-aware. And this is an extremely important point. If you don't know who you are, what do you want, there is no way you can pick something that you like. Like if you don't know what's in your heart, how are people going to understand? And that's why we are going to take a quick test to see what kind of communication style you have. And this is, again, on average, people answer certain way. Doesn't mean like it's specific to you. But we are going to do a quick test, and you can always find so many tests online just to understand your personality, to understand what is it that you like. So what you are going to do is you are going to pick one word, only one word that's most like you. And you are going to choose one word that is least like you. So you have two words, one, most likely, two, second word, least likely. And you keep it in your heart. So I'm going to give you 5 seconds to look at the words. And I'm going to change the slide. And then you have to remember it. I'm not going to ask anyone. But in general, it is observed that based on the word you chose, your communication style is one of these. So for example, if you chose blue, which is something I had chosen, my style is very analytical. So when I talk to someone or when someone talks to me, I want to get to the facts and figures. I don't want to get too emotional, for example. Some people, and I know a couple of people here who probably chose red, and I know who they are. They are like authoritative. So you get to the point there also. You don't circle around. So anyway, this is just a quick test, and it's not 100% accurate, but this is just a quick test for you to understand who you are. So for example, if you picked a green word, and so that means you value, the way you communicate is respect. So maybe you want to choose a major, or you want to choose a career that's more respectful. You don't want, if you value respect at most and you go in a field, for example, as a correction officer. So correction officers usually work in prisons, and prisoners are always so derogative, right? They don't respect you. That is not a field for you. Maybe you want to be a doctor. If you're very analytical, maybe you want to be a statistician. So this is just one quick test. But my point here is you have to understand yourself. And because I'm Buddhist, and because we were raised doing meditation, that's one of the best and easy, even though not easy, you get used to it. You meditate and you try to understand yourself. You look inner. The second step is priorities. So here is the thing. There are some things, everyone is naturally talented in something. Whether you believe it or not, it's your story. But everyone is naturally great at something, amazing at something. Some people are just natural speakers. Some people are natural artists. Some people are natural healers. Natural managers, whatever you call it, they're natural. And then there are other things at which you are not so good at, but something you want to do. For example, maybe you are not a born dancer, but that is something that's acquired skill, something that you can learn later. That's why you have to understand what is your natural aptitude versus your acquired skill. So when I first came to America, my parents wanted me to be a doctor. And when I was studying, it was very difficult for me to study. Because it was not something I enjoyed, it was not natural to me. And then when I took a test and I realized that I might have natural aptitude for a business major, I changed my major to business major. And then at the same time, so finance came very easily to me, but accounting took a little time. The first class I took, I didn't do so well, but I acquired it by practice. So understand what is your natural aptitude, understand what is something you want to do and something that you can acquire. This way you don't get very frustrated when picking something you like, because most probably it will be with you at least half of your career, and later you can change again, of course. The third step is get scared. So whenever you choose an aim so high that it makes you scared at first, and then so then you know the aim is big enough, and then believe slowly with the following step, the fourth step that I will say. Because the thing is, whatever your mind can conceive, you can achieve. And I'll give you one quick example. When I was growing up, I didn't know about America at all. Just when my parents bought dial-up internet, and we got color TV where I could see the foreign channels, that's when I actually learned about other countries. So that's when I started conceiving. That was the first step, and that's why this step is extremely important. You are not even taking action at this point. Only you're aiming and you're visualizing. And then next step, which is also very, very important, is to take actions. So you start small. There is no way you can change yourself suddenly. You have to start small. You can speak to a mentor, which I know many of you are already doing. You can research, for example, let's say you want to be a mathematician and you have natural skill for it, but you still want to see if this is something you actually want to do. Go to Indeed or go to LinkedIn and see what is their work-life balance, what is the satisfactory rate, etc. So this is like your first step. At this point, you're not even studying, but it's a small step. You can join a group, which I know all of you have done, network, write down specific, and all the advice that mentors here are giving. So those are like the small steps you can take and slowly start believing yourself. When I first wanted to buy a house, I couldn't, because my parents and my dad, everyone always, they're all government employees, and I was told to find a government job. But luckily I didn't, because I met with other awesome people that they said, no, that shouldn't be your only aim. So that's when, I started dreaming bigger, and now I was able to save enough to purchase my own house. And for me, it was a big accomplishment. It was a big dream for me, but I started small. That's my point. And, because I know a lot of us want to come to America, or we are already in the US and we want to get a sponsorship. So these are like the top 10 majors that get the sponsorship continuously last 10 years. So if you are like computer science, financial analyst or something, you are always in demand. And then solving the dilemma. So first I said, sometimes you really for example, maybe you're a great artist, but right now it doesn't pay your bills. So what you have to do is start slowly. So for example, I acquired accountancy, and I really want to have my own business. Unfortunately, at that time, it wasn't such a good time, because when I graduated, it was 2008, and the economy was sluggish. So during that time, what I did is I put myself back in school, and I started studying accounting, and now I have my part-time business. I took only one small step. I only started doing accounting internship, but things started to just fall in right places. So that's why you start small, and you just start anything you want. You don't run, you have to walk first. That's my point. And so in summary, what I'm saying, just like to summarize, you have to understand yourself, be self-aware, don't put yourself down. You have your priorities, you have to understand those. Then combine passion with income, or pick income first. So first you pick a major that like one of the STEM majors or something that you can acquire. It doesn't even have to be something that's good enough for you for now. Then you have to visualize the success. So you can't say, oh, I can't do it, and expect results to show up. You have to believe you can do it, and everyone can. It's not possible. If you're saying I can't do something, you're lying to yourself. You're not lying to the world. So you can do it. You have to visualize it, and that's even
more important than actions, because actions come inspired. They don't come when you're like, mad at yourself or you're lethargic. No, they come when you're happy and you believe in yourself. And so I said, take actions that become healthy habits. So once you start something slowly, you will eventually make those habits. For example, exercising, wake up 6 o'clock. One day it will be hard, second day, third day, it will become a habit. Now, and be happy. Don't try to look for faults. Don't try to look for excuses. Be happy and be, out there. And you can always contact me. I have put my name here, and I have also written 2 books. One is international student in the U.S. So what happened was during 2008-9, when the economy was very sluggish, I wrote the book as if I was writing a book to myself when I was in India. So with that in mind, so I hope, can I open this book maybe?
Yeah. Sure.
So.
She just have to click the website.
So Smita, is that available online?
So it's not available, but you can ask me. But I think Anup has downloaded here. Oh, it's in the same folder. So it takes 2 minutes. Thanks. So it says internet. Yeah, that's correct. And can you also open the other book? There is one more book there. This is Beauty Book by Smita. That one. But I want to see the other book first. Okay. So this is the book. So thank you so much. So if you go, and I am just showing you the index, is the table of content. So you can see, oh sorry, maybe I can, yeah. So whatever we are speaking today, I have put in the index. Like it also talks about how the education system in the U.S. So before when I was coming to the U.S., I didn't have much guidance at all. Right now we are so many, but before it wasn't the case. So I wrote the book from the basics, and it's just like me talking to you. It's not it's not like a professional book. I should say. And if you do find any errors, do let me know. I would be happy to fix them. Just email me. So it talks about everything. And then, as I said, in 2008, 2009 was a really sluggish time. So I also wrote a book about how to keep yourself pretty, because before I couldn't afford makeup or anything. So what I did was I wrote a book that's entirely based on your kitchen ingredients. So for example, you can get like ice treatment, right? And you have everything in your kitchen, and it's so you don't have to spend money or anything. So this is the second book I wrote, and it's really good. So for example, if you put rose water, if you click on it, it gives you like all the benefits and stuff. So it's really nice, and I think it would be nice for everyone to have like a gift. And if you want to have any of these books, please email me. My contact information is my first name, last name @gmail.com. And also I send daily newsletters, because I believe that when we are in good mood and we're passionate about something, things can really change. And because of the environment today outside, it's kind of depressing, and we sometimes feel things are going against us, but we have to believe that no, it's not the case. So I put together sometimes like some funny articles and what I believe and how I follow. So if you would like to get onto those newsletters, also email me. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much. Oh, and special thanks to Anup for suggesting the topic, and for Kapil for being awesome. Thanks. Oh, if you have questions, you can ask me.
New joiners, please shoot questions.
So I have done my undergrad here also. So if you have any specific questions, you don't have to ask me now. You can ask me later. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Smita, there is one question from India, from Chandni Matiwada. Is it possible to get hard or soft copies of the book Emotion by Smita?
Yes, of course.
Chandni, hi. So yes, it is possible if you would. I don't know where my presentation is. Oh, yeah, right there is the presentation. So please email me at smitaboyankar@gmail.com and I'll be more than happy to send you a soft copy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Smita, thank you so much. Hello. Smita, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. You started off by saying that you are nervous and you had prepared really hard and you really wanted to take up your slot and not read, but it was all worth it. You were not nervous, you did a great job, and I have known you for a long time and you have come a long way. I'm really very glad and proud to see the books you have written and where you are. So
Especially
again,
that second book is going to be very useful.
yes, the one with the kitchen remedies. Okay, so the next person here I had already announced is Kapil Wankhede for Cultural Shock 101. So Kapil, please.
Hello everyone. Jai Bhim. Jai Bhim everyone. So here again I am. So now I'll be talking about cultural shock. This is mostly for our new 2017 students who are most of the here and some of them who are attending online. So what is the cultural shock? So it is normal reaction when we are confronted with the unfamiliar surrounding. Like when you come from like Indian culture and you move to other countries like here in USA or in Europe countries. So everything is different, right? Like from everything, like from traffic signal, traffic lights, from drivings, everything is uh, like holding doors for other people, everything. Everything like yeah, like in India, back in India we just slam door. We don't care about other people, right? so like today I'm going to talk about these things like cultural shocks. It's I know like this already you spent, our new student already spent one month or something like that, and they already had these things in your universities, right? Every university has this type of presentation during their orientation, right? So just we'll go over this. So what are the symptoms of this cultural shock? The first one is like loneliness, homesickness, time management, yeah, weather conditions. Yeah, like when I came in August 2015, like first I came in Chicago. So that time also like people were like roaming in shorts, but I was feeling so cold. People used to ask me like, "What are you like? Are you okay, man?" So that was the situation, and like yeah, even during like first weeks of our classes, like most of the international students, like most of my Indian friends used to sleep in the class because of that jet lag and all that, right? So this happens, right? Because when you encounter to new culture, these things like these things happens. So yeah, so the stages of cultural shock. So when we first start from like India, it's like wow, we are going to US or something like that. So first is like arrival in new culture, and then there is elevation, right? So you feel like wow, it's like honeymoon period. Everything is so so super, right? Uh, so first you like everything, streets and your college building and playgrounds, basketball courts, like yeah, because I'm good player, I'm good basketball player. So when I saw this wooden turf, so like I was like so happy. Oh, I used to watch this only on like our sports channel, like NBA player, this like this wooden turf, right? So the first few days, like it's like our elevation, like you feel really good, and after that they started assignments and like real work, right? The real college work. Then you feel nervous, like oh man, this is like really this is different from what we used to in back in India, right? Like you have every week we have assignments, then you have quiz and whatnot, like how to like yeah. So then we started feeling little depressed, and it's yeah, it lasts for like some one or two more months. Then you feel like get used to all these things, right? Then okay, how to cope up with this cultural shock? So some of things I listed here. So get to know the American culture. Try to meet with many people. There are in every university, like as Jayashri said, like every university has cultural groups and other activities, like other groups. So try to involve in those groups. Don't expect everything to be perfect. Yeah, like from our side, like yeah, based on my example, I will tell you, like first we went to uh, pizza shop. Then my friend were asking what toppings do you want in your pizza. I said I don't know what is toppings. Yeah. So first few months I used to say, okay, whatever you are having, I will have that. Right. So that happens. So don't expect everything to be perfect, and have an open mind. Talk about with your staff at school or with our group members. Yeah, this is really helpful. Like talk to your professor or your supporting staff over there. Like in my case, I didn't pay my first year semester fee for like entire semester. I paid my first year fees in my middle of my second semester. So because of this, I told you, like my J1 issue and my scholarship issue. But I got full support from my university staff. They were so supportive. Like they waited till the mid of the second semester. So talk to our university staff, participate in activities, keep in touch with our people. Like please call, like whenever you feel bad, like just call anyone, like a mentor or something, right? That will help you, definitely help you. Keep mentally and physically fit. Yeah. So yeah, when you new to this culture, you see most of like hi, how are you, thank you. Every time you have to say thank you, right? So these are like social graces. So some of them I note down here. Respecting each and everyone. So you have to say thank you for everything, right? And greetings and thank you. Then professor, not sir and madam. Like yeah, as Jayashri already said that, like we don't call our professor sir or madam. We just say professor or just by name or last name, whatever they want them to call, right? Smiling to stranger, yeah, like this is like American culture, right? Like we have to give smile. These are the like outside your university social graces. No honking. Yeah, like in New Jersey, you can see this below. There are people in honking, but I'm sure, pretty sure, like in Chicago, back in Chicago, I never heard like horns, right? Maybe in other states also. In Jersey and New York, it's like Mumbai. Uh, yes. So giving tip here is like social grace, right? PDA, public display of affection. You can see, yeah, in street, locker room nudity at gyms. That is also you can face in like US culture. Work hard, party harder attitude here. Like you can people have this kind of attitude. Work hard and party harder attitude. And here also, like people, they don't have judgmental attitude. Wear what you want, eat what you want, drink what you want. People are usually very tolerant and non-judgmental as long as it doesn't affect them. So you might have observed this. And yeah, it's really good like even you in universities, your university department will talk about this, like you should have small talk with the stranger, and some of the topic I listed here. Uh, Most of the Americans like to talk about weather, travel, movies, theater, food, and entertainment. And some of the topics are listed. Which should we avoid in small talk with stranger? We shouldn't talk about religion, or money, or politics, or war. Maybe, yeah. Sports, yeah, sports. We should.
Sports and their pets.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
Their kids and all. You ask them about their pets.
Yeah, so Americans love to talk about pets and sports. So next time if you meet anyone like stranger, so you should talk about pets, right? So yeah, again I listed some student discount based upon my experience here. So we get like in our library we used to borrow laptop from our library. So I think most of the university has that facility. So you can borrow laptops for like 4 hours and 8 hours or something like that, and you get many softwares from university website, antiviruses, entertainment, like you get like discounted tickets for movies, and again you get Amazon subscription for like first 6 months, free Amazon Prime subscription on your student ID. And again, if you want to get like Wall Street Journal, you will get 80% off for the students. And transportations, you get like discount on DV bikes, city bikes, and other transportations. I think that's all from me.
The office student office, they also tell where can you use. Student ID is very useful there.
Right.
You can have many times free access to museums.
Right.
And also many journals and magazines are actually very, very cheap.
Right.
It almost comes to your economics kind of magazine, $1 you get it every day.
On your student ID, right?
Yeah, you should exploit that,
Yeah, you should check with your university office where.
Also online.
Yeah, online also. They have the student discounts.
You should make, I made, and also many academic journals also.
Right.
If you're a student, they give heavy discount. Even conferences and
Yes.
workshops, if you go as a student, you get discount.
Museums and all that too.
Even conferences, they pay for your travel and all.
I think that's all from my side. If you like new student, if you have any questions, I'm welcome. You are welcome. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
Very good pointers for the new students. Question regarding when you mentioned about your experience that you were not able to pay the fees.
Right.
And how you managed. Could you share? Because I see that particular kind of incident can happen in various situations,
Right.
not just because of paying fees or whatever, but if you're not doing well in a particular subject, and then how do you approach
Right.
professors? So could you share how did you go about doing that?
Yeah. So in every university, like there is teaching staff and there is like other administration staff, right? So my in my university, my assistant dean was handling my case because this is about the scholarship and late tuition fees. So I told her like straight away, like because this is my situation, I came on particular scholarship which is only available for particular type of people, like minority people in India. So because the most of the people who is handling this case back in India, they are not like from my category. So they are giving me trouble because of that. They're not very friendly to me. So I directly told her.
You made them aware.
Yes. I told her about the caste system, and she was also like from South America. She also said like she also shared some her experience about this discrimination. So and after that, she like I showed my everything, like this is my documentation, scholarships, conversation, and scholarship letter. I showed her. So she agreed on that, and she waited for like more than like one full semester, 1.5 semester to get scholarship paid.
So you were kind of open, you were tactful.
Yes.
That resonated with her, and she
Yeah.
empathized with you.
Yes. So she even arranged warm like winter clothes for me. Yeah.
Just irrespective of, let's say, South America, but also if there is a person who is of Caucasian,
Right.
the experience is sometimes, at least mine, if you explain to them the situation, they are very open. And even my department, my finance administrator, manager, he was actually saying, "Tell me what do you want me to do? Do you want me to call them?" And this is how much, because they understood
Right.
when you explained.
So, yeah, I think we should open and we should straight to the point, and we should provide our factual documents. Then these people are open to help us. Yeah, sure.
One experience I would say is that shock. I can speak louder. Shock from the Caucasian Americans would be especially the Trump supporters. They would say, "You guys are coming here to take our education or our jobs." That's one of the factors. People have told me upfront that you guys come and take our job. That's one thing that I've noticed. And second thing about so-called Indian Americans born and raised here, they still have that mental disease called caste. And they, two examples I would like to give is, in the school, not in, I don't know about the colleges, the Gujarati students, they sit separately away from our students who are non-vegetarians. They sit in vegetarian. They start discriminating from the school time itself. This happened in Pennsylvania in one of the schools. So this is one example. Second thing is, there's a student who's Patel, and many of the Americans think we are all Patels. They think that's why they say, like Professor Jayshree pointed out, Hanuman Jayanti and whatever they greet us. They think we are all hardcore Hindus. Coming back to the example, student, 10th grade student who is a Modi, born and raised here in America, tells a student, doctor student, like he's doing his, I think post-grad. He's a Patel. She says they belong to the lower caste. I don't know, whether, I know we are aware about this, but I don't know, many of the Americans are not aware of this kind of shock. So just want to share.
Actually, that's not a shock. That's just business as usual.
It's part of, I don't know, for them it's a normal thing.
For them it is, and it's business as usual. It's not yet part of the American culture. It's,
Thanks for sharing yours. Thanks you very much. Anup.
There is one question from Akshay Kamble.
Yeah.
Talking about cultural shock, being an Indian, do we face any racial discrimination in USA? If we do, how can we cope up with this, being in the state of loneliness, applying the new culture? How we can
The question is from Akshay Kamble, and he asking me, being an American,
being an
Indian,
do we face
any racial discrimination, and how to cope up with that, right? Maybe Suraj, you want to? Yeah.
Maybe here you face not only racial but few added discriminations we should be aware of. Racial is one part, but also you have to brace yourself to be ready for caste kind of discrimination and other forms of discrimination that comes to you in various forms. And the question is, how do I cope? Is that I think the best thing is primarily because we come from India, we don't know anyone. We try to find Indians as our friends because we come in a lonely. But I think I would suggest before leaving, do a research as to what kind of organizations are there. Especially if you are from the community, try to Google any organization around the area and try to find some familiarities. Before you go, try to get as much information about the place and people who are going to tell you about this, who are going to tell you expect this kind of things. But once it happens, always go and speak. They have the counseling unit in every university, as well as they have a student welfare or student dean, student welfare they call it, or student association. In my university it was student welfare, and they are very supportive of that. And at least in America they are very intolerant about this. It becomes a very scandalous issue if it is the case, and nobody should feel lonely. Because at least in America, in the very introduction, orientation, they introduce you, right? They all get together, they want to talk. So I think it's upon us how to build upon. But of course, getting less marks could be for me, the easy thing was to speak up, like tell your friends, discuss about it, don't keep it to yourself, and you might realize same happened. Like my friend actually failed in 2 papers, and I got less marks. So I was very much depressed, and I felt very sad. And then I told him, and he was like, "Well, you got less. I failed in 2 subjects." That it was like a guilty pleasure of having. I'm just saying, but I'm saying like people might suffer from also their issues, and you might realize you're not the only one.
Thank you, Suraj.
Okay, time.
With regards to the point that you mentioned about some white Caucasian making a point of immigrants coming along and taking our jobs, I think we have to re-emphasize that spirit of America, that it's a country being born because of immigrants, right? And I think we just don't have to be aggressive. We need not be aggressive in making our counter arguments. We have to be very humble, polite, but still get across the point that, boss, maybe two, 3 generations ago, your forefathers were also immigrants, right? And as long as it's constitutionally still allows, America allows immigrants to come, I think that has to be a very clear understanding that we have to possess and go with that dialogue. Yeah.
From India, and over here they struggle so hard to get a graduate degree, and when we work, they're thinking, how come like you guys came here on H1B, got the same position, we are struggling here to get a position. So we, like Lee said, it's like assertively point out that hey, because of this education, this is the criteria. I got both of my license. I can practice all over US. When I told them that, then they said, okay.
Absolutely.
Same thing with my colleagues who are, most of my colleagues in Pennsylvania, they have the same issue.
Yeah, I think that's very important that we have to be,
If you tell them that, that's the reason. Like some of the IT professionals, they were laid off in some of the companies in Pennsylvania, and they said, you guys are coming and taking our job. No, my friends who work in the IT sector, they said no, because of this qualification.
Yeah.
They get fired and they take all the anger on us, or basically pass on critical
Absolutely. So I think, guys, just be as factual as possible. As most of you must be aware that any job before that is given to immigrants, like external people, there are labor laws which allows the firms to place the ad for the local people. You have to place the ad for 2-3 weeks, and they invite local applicants. If they do not get any local applicants, then they are open to another, immigrants and all. So all the standard processes are followed. Just make sure that you are aware of that, and you should be able to substantiate that when you take this kind of argument.
There is one more point I want to make it here.
Sorry.
Say one of the example in Pennsylvania, something similar situation happened. So the police, they actually called us, all the Indians, in one of the Indian restaurant, and then they advised that if somebody tells you that hey, you are here, you are Indian, you can have your own subway or something, get out of from here. So he actually said, do not indulge in any kind of discussion, because there are some racist people, they will not listen to whatever you are trying to convince. I have this and this, and that's why I come. So better, you handle, depends on how critical it is, whether it can go violent or not, depends on that to take the action.
Yeah. And Shashank, thanks for bringing that up, because I remember one of our colleagues telling me this incident. He was working for Goldman Sachs, okay? And over the lunch, he was having it with the Indian colleagues, and they assume, right, that most of them are dominant caste. So they started talking about reservations and this, that, and these people, get reservation with no merit and all. And this guy said, one more word you say about reservation, and I'm going to go to HR and tell that you are being discriminated. That's all was needed. So you have to take your stand very firm, just be knowledgeable about things, and just get ahead with that, guys. Okay.
Any questions?
Kapil, thank you for the cultural shock thing. Actually, it's amazing. Nothing has changed in 25 years. We went through the same shock process then, and seems like nothing much has changed today. During my times, when anybody was trying to be racist, we equipped ourselves with something very, aggressive. I'm not advocating people should, but keep it handy. It's to me. on experience sharing as fresh grad computer science. Sarup, all you. Use this one.
Hello everyone. My name is Swarup. I graduated in 2016 from University of Massachusetts Lowell. This is just an experience sharing as a fresh graduate in computer engineering in the networking field. It may be not relevant to many of the people here because some of like have the technical stuff, but still the slides have some general details. So what is computer engineering? The people always confuse between computer science and computer engineering. Computer science in general is uh, purely a software side, and computer engineering involves hardware and software. So it's can be electrical or computer science, or electronics or computer science. So it involves both software and hardware, and there are like many specialization you can do in it, like computer software engineering, cryptography, communication and wireless networks, computer networks, mobile computing, etc., etc. So there are in US there are a lot of scope in any of these because US is actually a land of opportunity. You can make your career in any of the concentration. So what are the specializations in computer engineering, and what the US university actually offers that? So there is actually a myth in the among the students that I want to do a specialization in networking, so I will join this university. So they will give me a university will offer me a package of doing some networking. So it is not like a package. You have to choose the subject among your all the courses, like 2 or 3 or couple of courses which will tell you about which will give you some deep knowledge in whatever concentration you want to go. So you can change your mindset at some semester, and you can also switch to other, like you can go for embedded systems if you doesn't like computer networking. So you can take 2 or 3 courses and excel in that, and that becomes a concentration. So you have to choose wisely the subjects among the whatever courses, and you can say that because you only get the degree as masters in computer engineering or masters in computer science, there is no mention of any concentration in that. So you have to take courses and prove say that you have this concentration. So there are like uh, courses you can take which are mentioned here. For embedded systems concentration, you can take courses like microprocessor and all. So I did my this third one, networking. So courses I took like computer networks, distributed networks, network security, etc. So that becomes my concentration as networking. So what is the actual the overview of the computer networking market? So it is very good. So there are few like network architecture, algorithms, network security, and software defined networks. It's still a hot topic in computer networking, like software defined networks. So there are a lot of research going on, and many professors which are in the networks, they have a lot of projects, and you can approach them. They have like national funding also, so you can do your research and all. So where you can go when you do have your concentration in computer networking, you can be as a network or system admin or as a software engineer. So software engineer, this can be like a general software engineer or a networking software engineer. Networking software, if you go for the first one which I said, admin or network job, so it requires a very strong networking configuration skills, which can you achieve by taking course, but it can be more made more strong by doing some certifications like CCNA, CCNP, that are CCN is the basic, and then it goes to the expert level that are offered by the big companies like Cisco, and it's open to all, or by JNCP, JNCI, that by Juniper Networks, that is also a big giant in network company. This will help to get a job in admin, being a network admin or system admin. They are actually uh, generally they are not the software engineer. They look for the health of the network or in charge of the network in their domain. And the other is what is software engineer, where you don't need the certification because you're not gonna configure any router or and see the network, how the network is going on. So that is like our general being a software engineer. And to become a networking software engineer in what I am doing, so my courses help me, which I mentioned, like computer networks and algorithm. And if you take that, you can work on like application layer, this is something like some technical terms, but people who are in that can understand that. Some famous programming language like Java, C++, Python, and you can also work on Linux or kernel level, or on network layer 2, layer 3 protocol, etc. level. So you can go for any of these. If you are good at coding and all and love codes, go for software engineering. If you hate code and like some configuration stuff, you can go for network and system job if you are in networking concentration. And also be aware that C and C is the father of all languages, so never ignore C. I saw people many going for Java, that and all, falana adam ka. But C and C++ are the core system language. You should know at least one of them, at least the C. And you should have a very strong practice of at least one of the object-oriented programming. This is like almost every software engineer should know. You should at least know one, like C++, Java, or Python. And also if you have scripting knowledge, then it's too good, like a cream on that. And if you there are like almost every company, software company has a position for software testing, or what we call QA jobs, and Python is one of the main languages which is preferred there. So if you know the Python, then you can, at least if you don't have any uh, jobs you can search, then if you know Python and it's strong, then you can go for QA testing job. And people consider testing job as like very denigrated job, like you are in testing. So it's not like that. Every job is here. Yeah, you will have opportunity to grow and you can switch. And as I said, research in SDN has very good scope in research and development, and also an academic role. Uh, and also recently I had chat with my one of the office colleague. She was from the masters and PhD from MIT. So when I was asking about what is the hot topic in which one should do PhD, she told that currently the artificial intelligence and machine learning are the hot topics in the market. If you want to have, if you see down the line in 5 to 6 years, still it will like, or 10 years, it will be in high great demand. So if you want to do take a path, then you can go for this artificial intelligence and machine learning in research, and joining a startup. So i I took my thesis in my masters, so that was my one of the best decision I made. So because of that, I got interested into the research and all. So because of that research, or research only, like I was recruited to the couple of companies before I get graduated. So that was one of my best decisions. So when you come for the here for masters or something, don't go for like non thesis. This is the main desi mainstream. So you should always go for thesis because it will open your doors for research and all. If you want to do further PhD, that will always add to your resume. So, and it's not always that you should always join a startup. People say, hey, join startup, you will you should go to the startup, but they will still join, look for the big one. But my I want to suggest the first secure your job, whether it is startup or anything, or if you have the choice between two, then go for startup. It means it's my personal like opinion. You can go for your further. So I joined a startup which was a mid-sized company instead of like a big established one. And you the main thing of the startup is that you will get to work on the those stuff which you will get after like 2 or 3 years when you work in the big companies. In big companies, they will make you just fix the bugs and all for like 2 to 3 years. You will just roam around that. You will not learn anything new. So if you join a startup, you will work on actually the code which will go into the implementation, because you will have to push yourself a lot, and sometimes you will feel that why I joined, but the output will be very fruitful. So for like starting 2 to 3 years, don't go for package of course are necessary, but to learn and to grow, you should not go for package. And it's not like chal फेंक रहा है करके. You should learn more you always learn more in startup than any like big company in your initial career. So go where your interest is. My interest was, when I joined my masters, my interest was in embedded system, but that it turned into networking software, because when I took few networking courses, then my interest developed, so I went and did my master thesis on that. And for good job opportunity, always go for thesis. This will help you further plan your uh, future studies and jobs. And don't go with desi mainstream easy courses. I have seen many Indians comes here and take the same courses that they took in their bachelors, because their main aim is to just go for the GPA. So we have to maintain it. It's good to have a good GPA, but what's the use for you coming here and taking the same courses, doing this, reading the same answers, learning the same thing? So rather, if you get less GPA but go for the difficult courses, so that is the main thing. And the last side observation: as a fresher, grow your technical skill as well as communication skill, learn new technology and industrial standards of work, because in for academic we just code in very uh, childish manner and all. If you go in the company, you will know how to code, what are the standard follows, the name of how to name a function or something. You will get to learn when you start coding in industry. And sometimes people expect more from you, especially in startup, because in startup there are many experience like 15 to 20 years people, so they think that you should know this, so you have to just cope up with that. But that will be hard for you, but that will make you a better person in the technical skill in future. And like search for, most important is search for technical mentors among the colleagues and discuss or ask doubts to them when you are stuck, but don't annoy them much, because having a good mentor is very important, and you will get a good mentor in your company. So just chat with that fellow which has 15 to 20 years of experience. So always ask him doubt or be his apprentice. So that is the, you will get a good technical mentor. So successful startups, I already told you, have highly skilled people whom you should have constant knowledge transfer, and show eagerness to learn about products, services of your company, and complete your responsibility as when they give. So that will be in good interest of both company and you will grow. Thank you.
Can I add some points?
Yes.
Can you go to the slide where you show that which courses that you should do? Okay. So this is the most important slide. Data structure, RTOS and Linux device driver. NDD, if you want to do it, you can do it. That also is the embedded system. Okay, which company looking for this guys? So this is Apple, right? Honeywell, and the all hardcore companies. Those who are looking for those candidates, those can code in the RTOS, real-time operating system, and the Android or in the iOS. So this is if you want to make a career in the Apple side or Android side, or in those companies if you want to, if those are your dream company, then you need to do this.
Yes, because I came for the embedded system at the start because I was of the view that I did my bachelor's in electronics engineering, so I should not do my master's in computer science because electronics लिए तो उसके साथ धोखा हो जाएगा. Because I don't want to lose my touch with the hardware. So I love hardware very much, but also I want software too. So that's why I took computer engineering, which is in general in most of the universities both software and hardware.
Swaroop, you have to repeat the question.
Yes, I will repeat the question.
Yeah, so there is one question from Shirin Nagdive. So she asked Swaroop, if we go with non-thesis, are there a fewer job opportunities?
If you go with the non-thesis, but it's not like that there are fewer job opportunity, but if there are two person who did this thesis and non-thesis, the most of the time the thesis will have the most weightage than non-thesis because in company they look in the hardcore company they look for a technical knowledge and thesis show you that. And one also advantage of thesis that there are like less 3 credits you have to do in thesis, so that is also one so less 3 credits, so less one course fee, so that is also a advantage of doing thesis. But thesis is what you can do, it will. Yeah, you can also do an academic project in that. And in the next session will be conducted by the Lokesh. He will tell you about the TA and RA. So in RA, the thesis things also includes that, means professor will pay you for making your course, like you study and you also get paid. This is what I did in my thesis. All my thesis courses, like two courses, which is 3 credits plus 3 credits, means 2 courses fees paid by my professor because I was doing thesis. So professor actually wants the student to take thesis, and because they will make you to write a paper, and if you have your name and also publish a paper, so that will be a good for both university professor and also for you. So always go for thesis, that is a good option in technical side. Thank you.
Thank you, Swaroop. That was very informative in terms of decision taking for students in their college as well as career guidance. Actually, at this point, we are running pretty late, and like Milind mentioned earlier, we have a hard cutoff at 6 o'clock. So, in the interest of getting all the presenters a chance, let us reduce our time window from 15 minutes to 10 minutes for presenters going forward. So, request to all the presenters to consolidate their presentation into a 10-minute capsule, including question and answers.
Please stick to time.
And please stick to time, yes. So our next presenter is Lokesh Kamble on campus jobs, RA/TA and more.
Going to talk on the on-campus jobs. Firstly, I would like to welcome all the current graduate students who have come to US now for this fall semester. And for people back in India, we are waiting for you. So we are looking forward to have you here and attend the next convention that we'll have. So the talk that I'm going to give today is on campus jobs, and this is mostly for the students who have just now come to US and they are looking for the on-campus jobs. So on-campus jobs are like a very trivial topic, but it's really important one. Most of our speakers like Jayashree ma'am, Swaroop and Rajiv have touched upon this point, so I won't go into much details. This presentation is mostly my personal experience, so folks feel free to correct me if I go wrong somewhere. So to start with, on-campus jobs, these are the places I like. Again, this is from my personal experience that I listed out. Where you can find the on-campus jobs. So basically, you can find them in university libraries, then your college's administrative buildings, sports complex, then university cafeterias or university laboratories, and then, as I said, graduate assistants with your professor. That's the most important one. I'll come to that later. Just to cite out some of the advantages of on-campus job, I might miss on some points, but most of these, like all these jobs are firstly legal. You can work at your colleges. You mostly paid between like 10 to 20 hours, depending on the state you are in. You might get paid more also, but as far as I know, the our university paid us from between $15 to $20 for graduate students. Then you can like work for 20 hours a week. That's the limit they have set for part-time jobs on campus. And these schedules are like very flexible. You can like do the job according to your convenience, and it doesn't like fall in your study pattern, so you can change it do the job according to your convenience. Then working as Swaroop also mentioned, as a graduate assistant with your professor is the best option to get paid in your university. Like you learn also and you get paid. Then this is one thing, that working outside the campus. I know that most of our students who come here have financial crunches, and they go for. I have friends who work outside the campus, but I would like to tell you that this is kind of illegal. If I'm not sure about this, but as far as my understanding is concerned, I know that this is illegal. And these kind of jobs, you like, it's not at all safe and there's a big risk involved. You get paid less, and the working hours are also very stringent, so that might affect your studies, and it's not at all advisable to take these kind of jobs. Moving on to the next question, the important one, like how do you get the on-campus jobs? So it's as simple as that. If you are thirsty, come and drink. You you have to take the initiatives. The early bird catches the worm. These jobs are limited, so at the starting of your semester, you have to go and talk with the concerned departments, whatever, in your schools where you want to take the on-campus jobs. Like it's mentioned, they get filled up instantly. So make sure that you do this stuff in like 1 or 2 months of your when your graduation starts. Then general practice is that you should print your resumes and go to the respective departments and distribute your resumes to them. Talking is most important. Like you should talk with people. They'll tell you that go on the school website and apply for all these jobs out there. But I'll say that it's always good to have personal contact with all, like wherever you want to apply, because if you know people, they can recommend you. So that is most important point. Also fill in the university website, like they have the application pages for all these jobs, so go and have a look at these jobs on the college's website. I'll tell you from my experience that these jobs are really fulfilling. You can, you know, all your monthly expenses, most of them will be covered with this on-campus jobs. So from my personal experience, I'll tell you that I did work as a graduate assistant with my professor, and whatever he paid me was sufficient enough. I didn't have to get money from my parents, so that was that good. And coming to the next point, the graduate assistant part. So I know time is running, but I would like to share. This is the most important thing, and the last one that I would like to share my personal experience. And Swarup also touched on this point. I was working as a graduate assistant with my professor, and there he introduced me to this person who was a PhD holder from our school. So I did a master's project with him, and last when after I graduated, I was searching for a job, and this guy, he started a company. So since I was working with him, and we had very good relations, he said that I'll offer you an internship and we'll work on the same project that we were working on out in school. And I said, fine, I am ready to join as an intern. And if things work out, then he said that we can make it a full time. So I started the internship, and today's on Friday was the last day of my internship, and he converted it to a full time. So guys, that's the thing. A small contact with him, a small contact with my professor helped me fetch this job. And I know people who are really struggling for getting a job after the masters. So it's utmost important to talk with people, communicate here. Communication is the most important thing that you should have here. Making contacts is really needed. Most of the speakers told about communication, and one important thing is that LinkedIn. I know we emphasize on this point, but I just wanted to bring here on this forum that you should have a LinkedIn account, even though now you are you just entering the school. Having a good LinkedIn account is really important, and it will really help you out. And yeah, that's it. I am done with it. If you have any questions, the new graduates, they can ask me. Yeah.
Is there any procedure for applying for GA?
Yeah, so GA thing is you should go and meet the professor you are interested to work in. Just look out for their area of research. Like Jayashrita mentioned, professor do love to talk about their research. So just take the just go through their profiles, see what is their work interest. Prepare yourself okay, I've done this, I've done that, and just go and talk with them. And it's most likely that they do have projects with them, and even if they don't have project with them, they'll entertain you and they'll keep you on some of the projects. Like even I didn't got the GA right away. I had to work with the professor and then gain his confidence that yeah, I am interested in your work, and that's how it worked out for me.
Is it mandatory for me to take his subjects?
No, it's not at all mandatory for you. You should have interest in your in his area of interest.
Is it okay if I take another field
It's
for a GA?
it's not altogether like if you are an engineering grad, it's not like you should work with the arts faculty. It's that not that.
Because one of my friends, she got a GA. She's
Uh-huh.
in computer science, and she got a GA under biomedical or arts science.
But that won't be that much useful to you. It will get you some money, but in the longer run, it will be like you when you show it on your resume. If you work with a professor of your subject, you can show it on your resume as well that you are in contact with him, and getting a reference from them will also help you out. They know much about you, yeah, you are related to their fields. Yeah.
So what if their field of interest, I mean research,
Mhm.
does not match with mine?
It depends. Like if you, again, it's your choice how you want to take. It's better that you talk with someone who your interests match with, or else working with them also becomes difficult sometimes.
Do they see any criteria like the background, what we work, experience, or something?
Not most of the time. Like if I talk about me, I went to my professor and straight away told him that okay, this is what I'm interested in, and you are working on that. But I don't know anything about it. But I am ready to learn. I was that frank with him, so he accepted it. So it depends on person to person. I'm not sure about how things work at your place, but yeah, you can give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, like I told my professor that I'm ready to be as a volunteer this semester, and the next semester, can you offer me a GA? And he took my resume, so
Okay.
it's like we need to spend a semester.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. They won't give you right away. You have to gain their confidence that you are working with them and you are interested in their area of interest.
But even then, if they reject, I mean, like the criteria they look at, do you have any experience that these are the certain points they look, in these points you should be strong enough for a professor to be pleased?
Uh, Again, it's the same thing. Like you have to work with them. It's not like they will give you they have the money and they'll give you right away. You have to work with them, and if you are taking a subject with them, it's better to score good grades in their subject. But if you haven't taken any credit with them, the only way you can make certain that you'll get the GA is by showing your own expertise in whatever he's doing.
What is the difference between GA and RA?
RA is something that Suraj Dada can explain more. It's like a research oriented thing. And in our school, the PhD students got the RA, and all we master student, they gave us the GA. RA, I guess you have to teach some classes and all. But
GA is the master category.
yeah, GA is a master category. You don't have to teach anyways. You can work with the professor, but and I guess they give you some copies and all for correction. My work as a GA was completely a project oriented. I was working on a project, so I didn't had to go and sit in a lab or something like that. Like I never spent 20 hours like officially on going to school, and I used to work from home. It was that good.
So for RA, we have to be a PhD student.
I'm not sure about your school, but mostly R is given to the PhD guys.
So what you can do is, why don't you guys take one-on-one?
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay, and that's the last thing. There's no substitute for hard work. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Lokesh, for addressing that very crucial part about being a student and getting gainfully employed. And the sooner you start with all the tips that you gave, it's going to benefit everyone. I am really very glad to say that we are honored here by the presence of Mr. Sushil Raj.
Good afternoon, Jai Bhim. Thank you for being here because it gives us inspiration also to share things with you and to learn from you. And I think just picking up on the last slide, the fact that you're here is symbolic of a lot of hard work that you've put in. There are many struggles for our community. So for you to come here, I think in itself is an achievement. So you should use that as a starting base for where you want to go from here. And the second point I would just like to say is, because you've worked so hard, I think that should be the basis of your confidence in whichever field you seek to explore, to not be shy. And I wanted to share a few things where I work, but also I think beyond the work, what might be some skills and techniques that can help you find jobs in this environment, but also in other contexts. So I work at the UN in the Department of Political Affairs, So the career path in that area is what we generally call here international affairs. You have these schools of public policy and international affairs. There's a network of professional schools. Uh, by any chance, is anyone enrolled in a master's in international affairs or public policy? Okay. Okay. Well, even if you're not, the field of public policy and international affairs is looking for people from different disciplines and different backgrounds. I gather some of you might be, sorry if you don't mind, this is giving off heat. Some of you might be software engineers or IT professionals or those seeking to have a career. I would encourage you to also explore organizations such as the UN, which need IT people. We have uh, many serious issues of cybersecurity breaches, etc., for which we need IT professionals. So, just even if your concentration is not in public policy or international affairs, the skills that you may have would be quite valuable. But just to say more generally, what is sort of the field of international affairs? It's also very broad and vast. I mean, where I work, it's a lot of countries dealing with countries on issues such as what you hear in the news, the North Korean crisis or the Burmese crisis. So how they work to resolve these issues. These can be through the Security Council of the UN, or they can be through other means. So that's the world of international politics. Then we have also international development, international public health, social policy, education, all dealing at the international level. What we do in New York is we work a lot on policy, but then we have also programs of the UN in countries that in India, for example, you have the UN Development Program and UNICEF working on education, access to justice. So the UN is quite vast, and beyond the UN, the world of international affairs is also quite vast. We can always discuss that because there's not much time. I'm happy to discuss in person, but maybe a few things I'd just like to share in terms of techniques that could help you as you look for jobs, even whether that's as a graduate assistant or looking for your first job after your master's program. It's very, very essential that you learn to get your cover letter and your resume right, because employers have very little time. So what they're looking for is very sharp sort of messages that they can read. If I'm looking to recruit and I'm going through 300 applications, on average, I look at one application for 30 seconds. So imagine in 30 seconds, your cover letter needs to be able to communicate why you're interested in the organization that you're applying to. What is it that you're bringing to them in terms of your skills, your experience? These are two very, very essential elements. And the resumes also have to be focused. For this, I'll share also some examples we can share with Milind. There are some very good templates in terms of writing cover letters, writing resumes. The other thing is, as I said, not to be shy, to be out there. It's very essential. I think, who was it? Lokesh, who said about networking, reaching out. It's very, very essential, because if you don't take the initiative, no one is going to take the initiative to come looking for you. And it's important to also keep in mind that employers want you to succeed. When I'm looking to hire people, even if they're not successful in an interview, it's to bring out the best in the individual, to understand who is the individual, what are their skills, can this person add value to my organization? So if, in general, good employers are always trying to see if they can bring the best out of you. So I think once you understand that, this can help you, take away your own inhibitions, your own reservations. Just remember that employers are also looking for your success, because if they spot someone who they see potential in and who is making the effort, then they will make every effort to encourage you, to bring you into the fold uh, once they see that there's talent. So I think that can help cause a bit of a mind shift, because when I came to this country as a graduate student like you, and looking for jobs. I mean, these were the two big sort of barriers I saw. One was my own lack of confidence, so the inhibition internally, and secondly, the fear. What is it that I'm going to go and talk to an employer about? What if they don't like me, or what if they don't think I'm skilled? So being on the other side, I can tell you that, anytime someone approaches for a job or a position, even if we're not able to offer, it's about seeing the person succeed, because that success is good for the organization. That success is good for society at large. At least that's how I view this from the public sector side. I don't know how things are in the private sector, but I imagine many people do look at it from that perspective. The other thing is, you should definitely respond on time when someone writes to you if there is an interest. Don't take 2-3 days to respond to an email. Make sure the response is quick, and this is very, very essential, because these are the small things that an employer will see. How is this person responding? If I were to give them an assignment, if they take 5 days to respond, will this work? So these are very, very essential things. Many things are cultural. Coming here, there are many things that also require us to understand this culture, adapt to it. So perhaps where we come from, we're not always as direct, or we may be too deferential to authority. And I'm sure you've had many sessions without generalizing, but this is something employers look for. So it's not really a cultural aspect that you should disregard or take lightly. So, quick response time, being able to communicate, I think also who said this, the two speakers before, are very, very essential. Now, looking forward, the first job is, of course, the most important one that you're seeking to land as you complete your master's degree. But I would also urge you to think 5 to 10 years ahead. Look at a position that you're interested in, which is something that you may need to sort of work towards in 5 years or in 10 years. And then work backwards. Look at the terms of reference. What is it in the position you need, and where are you right now? So how will you get there? So you're working backwards in terms of work experience, in terms of skill sets, in terms of language skills. All these, I think, will help you think long term. And thinking long term is good. I think it's both an organic process where life takes you, you grow in the direction that life in some ways is meant to take you, but at the same time it's also intentional. You have to have some intention of where you want to go, and let both these elements unfold. So maybe just I think I'll end there, and I'm happy to speak to you afterwards, but also take questions now if there are any.
So should the UN sponsors H1?
Yes, so good question. UN doesn't sponsor H1. I did forget to mention there are 3-4 entry points for the UN. One is the internship program. It's unpaid. Generally, if an intern comes here, the UN will, facilitate with a letter, but doesn't sponsor. Secondly is consultancies. In some cases, the UN will sponsor what is called a G4 visa for a consultancy. But if you do get a staff position, then the UN files for a G4 visa. But H1 doesn't apply to the UN. H1B applies to other organizations, non-profits, for-profits, for skilled labor.
That particular region as a G4 or H1. What are the possibilities?
Sorry, can you repeat? So NGO person working for an NGO?
A person working in an NGO in India.
Yes.
He has done some kind of social work, right? And now he wants to come in United Nations as an employee. How does he?
Okay. So the first point would be getting an offer from the UN. Uh, based on the experience as an NGO worker, he or she applies to a UN post. If he or she is accepted for the job, only then the immigration process, the G4 visa, triggers. But if the person does not have an offer, then there is no basis for, a visa, a work visa. The G4 is called an official visa, so it's different than a H1B, it's different than a H2A, it's different than others. So it's somewhat similar to diplomatic status. So the terms and conditions are very different. It comes with certain immunities and privileges. Um, there are NGOs who come to attend conferences, so individuals who will go, say, to Geneva or come to New York. They're largely sponsored by their own NGO. The UN sometimes issues a letter if it's a UN conference. On the basis of that letter, then they go to the US Embassy and they will get a B1, B2 visa. So that is how they tend to come. But the only way to get a G4 visa is to have an offer of employment, or offer of employment as a professional staff, or if you're a consultant for very limited purposes. Generally, the UN doesn't sponsor G4 visas for consultants, but if it's looking for a very highly specialized consultant, of a certain caliber, then they will. So if they want to hire someone on a panel of sanctions dealing with North Korea, some eminent person, then they may issue a G4 visa.
Is there any scope for journalists in UN?
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
What kind of journalism?
Yeah. So in fact, journalists, the degree in journalism, I think, is the basis and the experience. And we have people with journalist backgrounds working in many different types of roles. The most obvious one is the Department of Public Information. It's a large department. It has many subdivisions, dealing with print media, dealing with electronic media, dealing with social media. Then you have spokespersons. So in our department, where I work, we have a spokesperson who handles strategic communications. He has a background in journalism, but he also acquired experience in human rights and politics. So on a day-to-day basis, he prepares the public communication for the department. He puts forward the messages, the public messages for my boss, who's the head of the department. He will communicate with the UN spokesperson whenever there's a noon briefing, just the way the White House has a briefing, the UN has a noon briefing. So that's one area. But then there are others who are involved in writing publications, writing articles for UN magazines. So there's a lot of scope, and I think that's a very interesting background to have.
And I want to know which language the journalist should know.
Yeah.
Language which has the highest scope. Which language, like French, Spanish? Can you order like 2 or 3?
Yes. Well, the working languages of the UN are English and French. These are the working languages of the Secretariat. The official languages are English, French, Spanish, Russian, Chinese. Russian, Chinese generally don't get used other than interpretation in official meetings. So the most commonly used languages are English, French, and Spanish. When you look at where the majority of the most acute world crises are, they're in French-speaking Africa. So therefore, there's a predominance of French being used more, Spanish to a lesser extent. But if you leave the crisis sort of mold of the UN and you look at development, then you might find more possibilities working in, say, Latin America, where Spanish might be used. So, and same thing in Africa also, but I would say the most commonly used foreign language is After English is French and then Spanish.
Sushil, just to maybe for the students here, the internship, getting an internship is non-payable, but it offers this kind of bird's eye view and, in a way, bird's eye view, but experience of working with international bodies. How would that be rewarding for them? A? And also for many of them are from technical field, and I know many UN hires. And I know this because many Indians are working in the technical field, which UN is not directly hiring, but they have a contract on field they work. So if they want to get information about that, because that's heavily paid, you don't pay tax on that.
On UN jobs?
Yeah, on UN contracts. Like,
UN, I see. Okay.
It kind of continues. And also, I know there is this United Nations telecommunication or technical. It's outside that Geneva main.
Yes.
Maybe they could.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about what's called the ITU. It's called the International Telecommunications Union. Other than they're a regulatory body, so they sort of set regulations for, telecommunications globally. I mean, the UN is very vast. It has many agencies, funds, and programs which sometimes are very specialized, from International Atomic Energy to the United Nations University, which is a learning institution, to what I mentioned, development program, UNICEF, industrial organization, UNESCO, education, cultural organization. So it's very vast, and many of these have their own governing bodies, and they have their own systems. What I was speaking about is the United Nations Secretariat, which is sort of the core organization from which the United Nations started. The positions in the Secretariat are few and far between. It's much harder to get jobs in the Secretariat, but it's much easier to find consulting and job opportunities in the specialized programs. So, I mean, I would encourage you to look at, if you have a background in engineering and telecommunications, to look at the ITU, for example. Consultancies, again, the UN Secretariat has far more restrictions on rules and regulations related to consultancies, but some of the agencies don't. So if you look at, there's an office called the UN Office for Project Services. Essentially, it functions like the private sector. Because of the regulations and restrictions in the UN Secretariat and other bodies, they've outsourced to UNOPS, this UN Office of Project Services, where there's a lot of flexibility in hiring consultants, in keeping consultants, and they charge each of the UN organizations a fee. So that might be an interesting place for you to look, because they might have IT contracts. And IT is a big thing. Like in UN peacekeeping, most of the IT contracts go to Indian companies. So you might be in the middle of Darfur or in the middle of Mali, and all of a sudden you see a number of IT professionals, from India. Decently paid. I mean, it's the Indian company paying them, though. So they're not getting the UN salary. There's a contract between the UN and the company through a bidding process. But I would imagine it's still fairly high. The other place where you see a lot of Indian companies is catering. So in peacekeeping, and you won't be surprised, in Afghanistan you'll have an Indian company catering for the UN. So again, catering professionals, if that is something someone's doing, hotel management, catering. These are some of the areas. So there is a lot of variety. I would encourage you maybe just to explore a little bit the UN universe. If you have an interest, we can see where there might be potential matches that you can explore.
So for students from humanities background, why don't we take it off? Okay.
Yeah.
On this agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sushil. Thank you for sharing those very valuable insights into job opportunities at the UN. It definitely expands the scope for folks graduating from here, and also for all those wonderful tips as an employer to do the right thing while applying for jobs and resume building. With that, I think we'll take a break now for coffee. Coffee is here, and we'll have a let's take a 10-minute break. And after that, again, we'll stick to our 10 minutes per presentation agenda. While we are setting up, there is something that we would like to share with all of you. This conference, this workshop was designed or was thought about very specific to encouraging our students to come here from India and then facilitate that as much as we could with local help from here, as well as help them to get jobs and again help in that area as much as we could. Now we have Ankur Ganvir presenting lessons learned, US studies and jobs.
So we had our nice coffee break, and I think everyone is awake to go through this fast presentation. So today I'm going to talk about what I was told by my seniors, family, friends when I was coming here for studies. Also, what I have learned through my experience of 4 years of studies in US, and yeah, so the focus mainly is on studies and jobs in US. So let's begin. So on your presentation, you can see the first topic. I have tried to group the topics, similar topics in same colors. So let's see if it goes through. The first one is on-campus jobs. I think Lokesh has talked a lot about on-campus jobs, but let me add what I experienced. So on-campus jobs, the first thing is when RATA, GA, all these kind of jobs, when you are applying, it is too late when you are applying when you are arriving or in your first semester. So basically, you will not get those jobs when you start applying in first semester. So if you want to get RATA, GA, you have to apply like 3 months, 6 months ahead of time. And the way I used to do it, rather than going on the portals, yeah, obviously the school portals, I do check it. But the best way I thought or I have seen is I used to email each and every professor in my department, related department, or the, for example, biomedical engineering. I used to email all the professors, biomedical, computer science, everyone, and try to mix and match my interest with them and see how it works. And for example, when I'm emailing like 10, I get response from 5, and based on that, I interview with them, and things turn out nice doing so. So I have used the same technique twice, Louisiana Tech and University of Connecticut, and you can also try same. Other than RATHA, you can also or should try, if you're not getting this opportunity, you should also try jobs in library, canteen, or on-campus security police, because these jobs, they will give you understanding of American culture, of how they work, communication skills definitely will be improved. You will see how they work like 4 hours, like if you are getting 10 hours of on-campus job, you will see just doing 4 hours a day. You are not doing 5 minutes less or 5 minutes more, just 4 hours, that's it. You will understand how that policy works, because basically in India, we go beyond assigned amount of time. We do 12 hours instead of 10. So these are the things you will get to learn. I think, yeah, so moving forward, next topic is research work. So in earlier presentations, we were discussing research work like MS thesis, PhD, all those things. Even in RA, you do some research work. So what my experience is with research work is, obviously you have to match your interest with the professor, but what I would suggest is never ever give compromise with your interest. I know students who are coming from India, like who already did bachelor's or MTech, they already did some research work, so they are already experienced. It's not like first time you will be doing some research. Bachelor's research, I meant like minor projects or major projects that you have to complete for bachelor's. So you have some little bit experience. So when you are coming to US, it's don't get carried away like, okay, this is US and best part of the world and whatever research they are suggesting or asking you to do is the best. Uh, Use your conscious and understand, will this research will help you in future or not? Is it worth, like, you have the talent, you have the capabilities, but are you doing that level of research or not? So if that doesn't work out, so don't afraid to communicate this with your professor, with your directors, explain them what you are seeking and what you can do and what professor is asking you to do. So it will trust me, it will turn out good for you. They will get you better projects, better labs. If not, you can continue with that professor to complete the thesis work. Moving forward, courses. So courses, as you all know, and in previous presentation, I think it was covered, like you have two options, compulsory courses and elective courses. So obviously you cannot change compulsory courses, but for the elective courses, you should make good decisions, like you should choose those courses which are going to help you in getting in a jobs. And sometimes when you are running less on the GPA, you can select courses which will less your burden of assignments or homeworks. GPA, this was told by my seniors that to keep minimum 3.5, but I would suggest to make it like 3.75. It's never been ignored. Like the first questions in my interviews or career fair, this was the first question was the GPA, and I think nowadays students are scoring more as 4, so try to keep it at least 3.5. It's always good to have the GPA at in earlier semester to be very good, because you can, if you are scoring less in later semester, your GPA will not fall much. But if you keep, if you don't score much in first semester, it will be very difficult to make it 3.75 in later semesters. ISO, International Student Organization, this is basically, this should be your best friend. This is the International Student Office. So every university will have this office who will help you with visa, courses, orientation, all that stuff. So this will also, in my case, this office helped me with my health concerns, with discussions with the professors when situations were not good. So try to meet them. They have like weekly meetings or just coffee hours and stuff. So meet them, just hang out with them. So you will learn a lot on weekly basis. You will make new friends. Student committees, we had discussion on this earlier. So yes, be involved with different student committees. You will again learn different culture. You will learn communication skills. One more point I would like to add for student committees is like you will get to learn leadership skills. So organizing meetings, gathering, you will learn that. Student ID card, again, this was covered. I would add this will help you not just for library. Yep. So student ID card, it will help you with the conferences. It will also help you with the career fairs. So not just career fairs of your university. Actually, that's again a next topic. But as you know, each university will have 2 career fairs in a year, spring and fall. So don't just stick to your university career fairs. Go to other university career fairs. They will try to scrutinize, but if you have a student ID card, they will not stop you. I did with when I was searching jobs, I traveled like 3 or 4 hours just to I was following up this company, so to other university to do the career fairs. So try to attend as many career fairs you can. Do not leave any stone unturned online, job hunting and stuff. Job hunt is basically a full-time job. So this was again told by my seniors, like you have to apply 50 jobs a day to end up like in a good position or good job of you what you are seeking. And job hunt does not start in a last semester. If you are starting in last semester, obviously you will end up with no job after the graduation. You should start a year ahead. Nowadays, situation is tight, so try a year ahead. You will be in a good, safe position by then. You should also plan your graduation accordingly. So,
Can you please just remind us?
yep. So, yep. So, last two topics: visa and plan EAD. So, I think it would be covered by other people, but that is it. In the end, two advisors. So, students who are applying for the universities, please select your university very wisely. Also look the state where you are applying. Basically, in US, industries are distributed accordingly to the coastal areas. So try to see if that state have good industries. Apply to that state. And second advice is try to be punctual. That is the basic culture, American. And whomever you want to meet, or professors or doctors, anything, make an appointment. Don't do anything without an appointment. They do not entertain. That's what I'm saying. And yeah, be responsive over emails. So when you're applying for jobs and stuff, if you get an email from a recruiter, respond within 10 hours. This is what I applied, and yeah, it turned out good for me. So that is it. Thanks.
Question?
Yeah.
Just one question.
Sure.
On the first one, the on-campus job,
Yeah.
you have mentioned that the students can do the security or any other job. So
Yeah.
the question is this first thing is allowed to do other than their science or subject of education?
Yeah, so it's allowed. I have done security jobs. My friends have done library jobs, and
So
yeah,
it's legally allowed.
yeah, it's legal. And the best benefit is you get to get your SSN started, which gives you benefits later on. So
And then the reason why I asked that question is maybe recently, I don't know again change or not, but since last 2-3 years they are saying it's more strict that you should actually work on the subject you are studying in.
Okay.
So I'm actually not sure. That's why I'm asking.
So
On-campus jobs. You can work for will work on on-campus jobs for
So anything
9
on
months,
campus,
first 9
you
months.
can work on it, but anything off campus, for example, or something, you may not work.
So this security or library jobs, this mostly comes in summer. So summer 3 months when there are no schools but students are there, and some.
This was on campus, right?
Yes, on campus. Yep.
On campus.
What is the highest paid job on campus, and what is the most assured one? Like if I don't get anything,
$10 to $20 per hour. That's nice.
no, but if somebody wants to know, okay, I'm sure that I'm going to get a job at the gas station.
Mhm.
Is there something like that?
No, so again, this is like first come first basis. So non-studies related jobs, they are also first come first basis. So if you apply 2 semesters ahead, like for coming summer, if you start applying now, you might get the job. So yeah, for the security or library, that's how it works. But when you are working like RATA, GA, you can work it out with your professors if you have applied late.
So we can take a job like that.
Thank you.
Otherwise we will not be able to do it.
Thank you, Ankur, for sharing that. You are in a good position with your double masters to, you have broad base of experience, and thanks for sharing that. Next item is by Shashank Vaidya. It is CPT and OPT and career guidance for fresh graduate. Shashank.
I think we are running out of time, so I want to actually ask Jitu also to present with me so that we can cut short. And
That would be good.
Jai Bhim everyone, and thanks for giving me this opportunity, and thanks all the Vinay and all the mentors to organize this, and I'm happy to be a part of this. And I don't know if anybody is there from India, so thanks for them as well. So I think I got enough of information. I have learned a lot with various slides in the past, and I feel like doing MS myself. But jokes apart, I am going to cover just in short the CPT and OPT. So does anybody know what is curriculum practical training? CPT, just that's it. I'm just asking the full form, so or the short form. So
That is a trick question.
yeah. And anybody knows what is the OPT full form? Option. So what I'm going to cover is what is the difference between these two? What is CPT? Am I eligible? When can I do? What is the cap gap? These are the questions you are basically going to get answered at the end of all the slides. So I don't know if I can browse through all the slides, but can just this one?
Yeah, just down.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, so CPT again as curriculum practical training. First question is like, am I eligible for CPT? And what is the difference between OPT, CPT? So CPT is curriculum practical training. You get it when you are actually studying it. And again, like, am I eligible for 20 hours or 40 hours? These are the questions everybody or any student can ask. So the answer is, again, it depends. So there are certain colleges in US. One of the reason they allow you like day one CPT. You take admission and then they actually allow you to work for 40 hours. And they have the remote classes. You come once a month or something. Those are like very rare. But the other thing, when you actually work outside, for example, your internship. So that time on CPT you can work for 40 hours. But rest of the time, the legally it's allowed only for 20 hours in a week. So that is pretty much on the first slide. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Second one is OPT. Then again, this 4 questions. What is it? Am I eligible? When can I use OPT and how long it is valid? It's pretty much same, but it is off campus employment and it's for the F1 students. And when can I use the OPT? So after your pre-completion, during semesters, and after your after the completion of your MS degree, you can actually use it. You get it for 1 year based on if you are on the STEM, and then it can be extendable for another 2 years based on if you have a job in the particular stream. And so I think that's pretty much it. Next one, CPT versus OPT. So used before completing one's studies. This is pre and post both. And processing time, CPT generally is done by the mostly the college and even OPT as well. So processing time varies again 1 to 3 months. The last point, only students who are working solely on the thesis, dissertation or final project may apply for the full-time CPTs. Post completion OPT may be authorized for full-time employment. Again, this sometimes depends on the timing, depends on the college or the university where you are studying in, but these are all the main differences, and we can always discuss on our Saturday call if you want to know more about that. And the cap gap extension, this is another important topic about anybody knows about cap gap. So most of the mentors know. So this is what very important slide. This is basically 90 days and 60 days. So the definition wise, period after OPT is expired, but before H1B authorization begins. So what happens is, any student who apply for the H1B, he can allow to work only in the month of October. So if your OPT expired in, for example, August, so they allow you, even after expiration, they allow you until it gets, and you can actually continue living in the US. So that is the full form. So who is eligible? You are on F1 student and the beneficiary of H1B petition. Your OPT ends before the start of your H1B. And how do I apply? So those questions are, we can take it offline again. So this is the OPT application timeline. 90 days the graduation date, and then it is 60 days as your OPT start date, 12 months of employment when on OPT, and then after that OPT end date, and then 90 days grace period. So you get 2 times. And then after that, I think you get extension for 24 months. Thank you. Any questions?
Can you go during champion?
That question right now, I don't know if I can answer. So, Anup. I think it's okay. So, OPT extension application timeline. So, yeah. So when you initially get the OPT, you get it for 12 months, and then okay, this is the difference there. Yeah, this one. Mhm. Yes. Yes. Correct. Yes. The OPT ended? No, until OPT ended, because I think only 1 year you're allowed to. And then if you don't have any additional questions, we'll jump to our next slide. It's basically about the how to grab the jobs, and once you're done with the MS, what to do next. So I think uh, most of the mentors who are actually working here and all of our community members, each of them have different you know uh, experiences, and all of them are pretty much good based on how they actually experience the job search here. And so that's the reason we are trying to combine my presentation and the Jeet's presentation together, so that we don't want to repeat.
All right, so my topic is how to prepare for the job interviews. Uh, I will stand and talk, so that will be good. You can take that. All right, so this is. I would like to say that we'll go through the agenda fast, very fast, because I know Vinayat I will say stop. Selection process in the top companies. Okay, we'll see that what is the selection process in the top companies, how to make companies to knock your door. That we're gonna talk today. I mean, we are just following the traditional way to submit your resume, and we are waiting. Okay, we will get the call. That's not the case. How to stand yourself, how to stand out yourself, all right? How to make crisp, attractive resume. That's Sushil sir, also the employer. He already touched base that one. I will give the sample. New trend of the interview in the top companies, all right? So that we can take reverse engineering why interviewer rejects the candidates. All right, question and answer session. I don't think so. We'll get a time for the question and answer. We'll take it later. What makes the big difference in between the two candidates? Why will select her? Why will I not select her? Even though if they are doing the same MS, even though they are excellent while giving the presentation or while in the interview, perfectly. So I will just remove that slide because that Melinda already talked about. How much time? This should be question to you guys. How much time you think you require to prepare an interview? Okay, guys. Those who are newcomer, can you please stand up for a second? Yeah. This should be. Now it's enough pampering to you guys. So this is a serious business. Okay. So the first question is, how much time you require to prepare an interview? Anyone? Fast, quick.
2 months.
2 months, 2 days. Yes, sir. Month. Speak up. 5 days, okay. Very good confidence, okay. 1 month. From the beginning? From the beginning of what?
I've started the course.
Alright, I got that. Okay, 5 months, 2 days, and 3. Take a picture. Alright, now you sit down. Yeah, please. Thanks. Okay, so, yeah, I was like you, and I was thinking the same. 5 days, 2 days, 1 month, so much confident, right? And so much I can't do anything. And okay, let's see. Let's see the selection process in the company, how they selection. So they collect the resume from the vendor or job posting sites, right? Scrutiny those resume depends on the requirement, right? Last year, okay, this is a very good example actually. This is from last year, 2015. Not 2016. This is a 2015. Okay, so this my all presentation is completely depend top companies to prepare for the top companies like Google, Amazon, Twitter, or Yahoo, Microsoft, whatever whatever the top companies. This tier one companies that I'm gonna talk. Tier one, okay. So last year Amazon conducted about the job fair. They received 4,000 resume. Jyoti ma'am, yeah, I do have the slide for this. I mean the saying that okay, I do have the mail. This data is correct because we are in America, so we should say that. Okay, they received the 4,000 resume, around like 4,000 resume submission, right? For this is for the intern position. Selected only 400 candidates for the initial round, and selected 50 candidates for the face-to-face round, and only 4 candidates get the job. Alright, this is on the different. This is not domain specific, nothing like that. Fresh graduate, fresh brain came out from the MS, and they wanted to select. All right, so the only 4 candidates. This is for the Quitsi and Audible in the New York, and near Exchange Place. This is the right data. So this is not a selection process. So this is rejection process, because like you, so many guys are there, around like 500k MS students coming out of every year 500 new fresh graduate I can see every around like 3 months. Every 3 months we do have some campaign. I used to go to the college to take the interviews, or depends. I mean, when I will have so technical rounds I used to take every week. I'm seeing around like 30 people in the one day. All right, and okay, so this is rejection process. Don't think about this is a selection process. Okay, so how to get a calls for the interviews? This is the first question. Okay, sir, you are right. I'm okay. You whatever you are saying, tell me the solution. Don't do bull bachan, right? So this is how to get a call for the interviews, or how to make companies to knock your door. Sir, how come? How you are saying that? How companies to knock your door, right? I mean, how come company will come to you and knock your door? But you want job in our company? So you need to create something like oh, is going back. Sorry. So you need to create. You consider yourself as an entity. You consider yourself as a company. Create your name as a brand. What I'm saying, create your name as a brand. Your skill set as a qualities of the brand. If you want to go and buy something like say laptop, what you are doing, you see some ads on the TV. You're gonna compare those features with this laptop, that laptop, right? So the recruiter, what they generally do, if they do have like say 5-10 candidates positions, they don't publish their job on the job site. They don't search in the data in their database. What they do, they simply go in the LinkedIn and they start doing the search on that. So create your LinkedIn profile. I'm going to show you the example quickly. Create your website, create your blog. That she that she already did that. Hacker rank, if it is computer related, most of the them is from IT. I heard when you guys gave the expression introduction. Hacker rank and Stack Overflow. This is very important, because sometimes we just get the link from our colleagues. He's saying he's replying so good. He's very good in coding. He's having hacker rank around like within the 500 he's having that ranking. My ranking is around 67 all over the but in the hacker rank, but you need to use some different name because of some NDA, non-disclosure agreement and something like with the company that you do have, bro. I wish how knows this. Google Plus, Twitter, Facebook, don't use for the social networking. Use for the selling yourself. I mean, selling your skill set. Do some presentation, talk some with guys. What and you should be doing this. Okay, whenever you want to do it, instead of spending a time on Facebook, use the Facebook for something like good. GitHub, use for the GitHub for those who are in the coding area. This is domain specific, but it means publicize yourself. The YouTube I'm gonna talk. There is one guy, not from our community, Gandhi. He was teaching a data structure and algorithm in that YouTube. Apple called them. Okay, are you guys are you ready for the interview? We just want to talk with you, right? And he said okay, and they just spoke with him, and he got a job without having any degree, right? Without having any degree, because he was passionate about that, learning the skill set and everything. So it doesn't matter what. The US is a land of opportunity, and only the place the on the job interview table there is no discrimination. In the discrimination in between two people, that what I felt. It depends on the skill set that what you. It doesn't matter whether you are just you're from China, India, Indonesians or anywhere, because on that level, on that standard, everybody is same, and then we are seeing the whole picture. All right. So this is lead code also. Lead code is which one?
Stack Overflow and all that they might not.
Stack Overflow. You just search. I mean, this is a very good community where if you'll have any problem, you can put it on the questions and you can get the answers. All right. So these are the things you should do it. Otherwise, I don't know whether you will land it or something like some other companies. I don't know. Okay. So how to stand yourself? This is the thing that it will make you stand interview. All right. So now let's assume that you stand out and some recruiter give you a call, and he will say, can you? I would like to know about you. Are you in the market or not? And then can you send me your resume? Okay. So this is the first step. This is the first interaction from your recruiter to you. So how the interview will when you will submit your resume? So how interview will give? The same what Sushil sir said. Time not more than 30 seconds. Control F and find the skill set. What is he's looking for, and then past work and project experience, and any achievements or technical degree and the age. Age also actually I removed, but I thought like not to put the age. One thing here, recruiter is not a technical guy. He doesn't know anything about the technical what project needs. Whatever the manager gives, he will just do the control F and find that skill set. Oh, does it have a Java? Does it have a JavaScript? Does it he knows the skill set that they want, algorithm and all this stuff, right? So this is the all right. So let's how to resume standouts and how to make that.
Just an
yeah, sorry.
introduction. We are past 25 minutes.
Was it?
So if you can just
Yeah. Okay. So the resume that I will quickly show up directly. So you can just read this one, and then we do have. Step that where the recruiter will take the will go through the resume, and I wanted to compare with the other, but this is fine. Okay, this do you guys like this resume? That kind of resume? Will you call this guy? Right? Will you call you? It is making you very curious to know about very curious to know about yourself. Okay, so this is the first step that you can do it. What is the project role user pie chart guy? Okay, so this is already going through. Okay, interview process. This is initial screening, phone interview from the recruiter. He might ask you a question. He will do some Google search. He doesn't know the technical answer, but he will just compare with those. Face-to-face and in-person interviews depends on the company. For the tier 2, it is a 5 technical round. You can't BS. You can't BS there. BS means, yeah, bullshit. You can't bullshit there. You can't fake. You can't act until and unless you can't act there. It's a 5 technical round of interviews. All right, final HR and experienced, all experienced guy, 20, 30 years of experience. You can do it, fake things. Okay, interview. What does it mean? This is I got it when they trained me to take the interview. What should you look? So it's an interview. It's everybody knows the answer correct. It's not like nobody knows the answer here in the US. Everybody knows the answer, but how you gonna present them? What kind of attitude you have? Whether you will feel it in the job or not. Okay, so in the interview, so these are the presentation skill. Whether you are presentable enough or not, communication that already covered. Knowing about the job, this is a must important thing that if the recruiter will ask him to send the job description and read everything about it. Confident body language. This is confident and understand yourself approach. This will not come in the 5 or 3 days, because this takes time. Understand yourself. This is what the skill set that you have. She already covered actually. That what you like, you need to do that. If somebody is saying MS, so you are coming for the MS. Somebody is saying that we do the PhD, that's why you're doing the PhD. Just open your mindset. All right. So, all right. Types of interview: technical and behavior. Technical, that is you can find it on the Google or Glassdoor, because thoroughly prepare the answer each and every question based on the resume, because interviewer doesn't prepare his question. He will just refer your resume and he will bring up the question will completely come up. He will not come with the okay, I want to ask this question. It's resume. Okay, I should ask him this question or not. Okay, answer should be more structured and logical, because I've seen so many fresher guy over there. Oh my god, they are just starting and they are ending where they are ending. They don't know. So make it structure. Make the book. Make the notes from the now. From you. You should start from the now actually. Split less, more effective, constructive and relative. All right. So this is and to the contact actually. Career stuff. This is most important thing. I've seen some Chinese guy. They are, oh my god, they are fresher, but they doesn't look like a fresher. They are coming with, sir, I did this project. Do you want to see that? Yes, please. Sir, I do have this site. Do you want to see that? Oh, sorry, I missed that document. I don't have with me. Can I visit my blog quickly? And they see the techniques and the tackle there, how they are going to familiar with the interviewer. Our guy is like, oh, kasa karu mi aata. है ना? So and your heartbeat will be pump up. When I ask you to stand up, your face is like the completely faint up. Okay, what should you do? Right? 5 days. Will you think that 5 days or 5 months or this is so much overconfident you guys are having? Anyways, after they end up, after completion of MS, if you will not get a job, you will end up with me and Shashank only. I know, because we are dealing with this guy. Okay, behavioral interview question. This is must. This is must, because nobody prepares this. What is the behavioral interview question actually? So I don't have actually too much time to give the example, but okay. The first, let's give me think about it. Okay, if you tell me the time when you when you had a conflict with a boss, right, and how you handle it. This is a behavioral question. So you will also मला सुट्टी पाहिजे होती पण तो देत नव्हता मग, right? So you need to say this, okay, because so many, we can prepare those questions later, but I do have the format how you can tell them, okay, right? So we'll give that example, but we don't have time. Okay, so this is situation based. Okay, this was the situation that we had some conflict in between me and him, and then task. What was the task? What the action you made, and how you solve that problem, right? So this is the star. This is the must thing. Okay, so if you have any questions on this, yes, we should sit and we should talk about this. Many of the skillful guy, he everything did the algorithm. He did 100 out of 100. He did everything. He answered everything. But when somebody asked this question, and he just BS there. So don't fake over there. Nobody can fake over here. All right. Okay, reasons of rejection. This is you can read. This is lack of preparation or whatever. You guys can read it. I will give you this slide. But these are the results. Reasons of the preparation. This is the one more also someone else interviewed for the job appears more qualified. Yes, that was also the one question. This is don't be in the crowd. Be something. Trigger yourself, self-esteem, something, whatever you or what you say, attitude. That's it. So how much time here? How much back to you? My question. Those who gave me 5 month. Do you think that this must take the time? Whatever you said, he was right. We should write from the now or whenever. So try to interact whenever. When you try to interact with these already experienced guys, try to interact like you are giving the interview. All right. Try specific prompt answers. All right. Sorry. So these are the takeaways. Prepare, practice, and make the small group and do the mock-up because it will not come automatically. You need to do the mock-ups among yourself. ओके तू माझी मैत्रीण मी तुझी मैत्रीण करा आपण कॉलवर बोलण्यापेक्षा बसा आणि कॉल करा फेसबुक किंवा फेस टाईम स्कायपी जे पण आहे ते ठीक आहे ऑलराइट अजून ते लास्ट बी कॉन्फिडंट पुट द फायर इन युअर हार्ट स्माइल ऑन युअर फेस humble and politeness in the voice. Yeah, victory is yours. Alright.
Just last 1 minute.
The approach is the main thing, how you are approaching. It shouldn't be a technical shock like culture shock. Oh, this is a completely new problem and how you are approaching. Somebody asked me in the Twitter, oh, can you write algorithm for cubic what is that? Rubik cubes. Sorry, I always misplay that. And you said, yeah, why not? Tell me the algo first. Tell me the formula. I'm gonna write that. I said, oh yeah, I like that confidence. And then see, you can how you can manipulate. I can write a program. I can assume saying that okay, all colors are same, and then I can write a program. But are you ready to take that challenge or not? Or you're just saying no, sir, it's very complicated manually. How I can do it programmatically? You just need to think outside the box and say, oh, it might be the same color all the cube for the cube. I can adjust. It will be automatically adjust. I don't need to write it.
And don't wait until your MS is completed.
Start
Start 1 year prior to that so that you are ready on the day one.
Not 1 year, 2 years prior to
whichever,
that. Yeah. So and talk to us. All right. And,
Okay, thank you, Jitu and Shashank for that very informative session. How to use social media effectively to attract attention from prospective employers, though you focused on, I think, really the top ones. But it's nonetheless, in this competitive world, it's definitely something helps. I just want to add one bit here. Most of you folks will be going in for fresher jobs, not so much with experience. So the soft skills, the trick questions, the behavioral things comes majorly into play. Nobody is going to really make or break the deal based on your technical knowledge, because that's something that will happen down the line as you gain experience, but more on your softer skills. So having said that, we are forced to make some course correction here because of paucity of time. So we'll be focusing only on things which are pertaining to new students or basically new students. So we'll jump to Anup Meshram, who will be presenting It's All About Networking.
Okay, I'll stand and I'll speak. Okay, so it's all about networking. That's what the title says. Okay, so this is the I decided to give presentation on this particular topic because this is the word I heard when I came to US first on my first day. I was searching for a campus job. You should do networking. Then I asked my a colleague like, okay, so can you do you know how can I get an internship? That you should do a networking. Then I started searching for my final placement after I graduated. You should do a networking. So what I realized over here is it's nothing what you know, what you learn. It's everything depends upon who you know. Okay. That's United States. Guys, welcome. Okay, so I'll talk about what is networking, why networking is important, and how to network. I'll just keep like it's very short presentation. Okay, so networking is nothing. It's not a big word. In Hindi, you can say jugaad, a kind of thing. But it's over here. It's acceptable and it's a good word. Okay, so it's just talking to the people, talking to people, creating your personal and professional circle around you. Okay, so for example, you guys over here, you should know how many of you know everyone in the room by name. Maybe for also the new students who are sitting over here. I don't think so because I have not seen many people interacting with each other. Your first thing when you come to such kind of event is to talk to the people around you, know what they are doing, what's their interested field, like because you never know, they might be helpful for you or you might be helpful for them. You should know, even though if someone is not from computer background, someone is from electrical background, it's nothing, it's not, it's no harm in asking them what you guys do, what's there. It's like adding to the information you have. So there are two type of networking. One is informal networking and one is like deliberately networking. You have to do a deliberate networking in United States when you are a student especially. Okay, so why networking is important? Okay, it makes you know, makes your work known, so everyone around you knows, okay, who you are, what you are doing. If you are doing a research, you can share your ideas, get new ideas and all, and you will get a good recommendation when you know people around you. Okay, you will of course get an internship by doing a networking, and finally a final job you get is through networking. So this is a kind of again a data science kind of thing I'm just presenting you. So this is a LinkedIn data. So LinkedIn published this kind of analysis. So what LinkedIn told is like 85% of the critical job in United States are filled by networking. So instead of going online and doing online application day and night, guys, because earlier, so there is a paradigm shift over here. Earlier, the HR used to take the decision to hire you, like you have to go through HR. But nowadays, it's the manager who wants to hire you. Like if I have a position in my team, I'm the one who will be decision manager. It's my decision to hire you or no. So you don't have to go through HR. You can just go to the person who is hiring, right? So, and how can you go to that person? Through networking. So informal networking. Informal networking is the networking right now we can do. We know each other. This is the so as you guys are new to United States, this is the first kind of layer you have within yourself. These are the people who will always come and help you. So this is the first network. If you want to find a job or anything, internship or any kind of help, these are the people who will come first to you guys, right? This is your first network. So be always in touch with this. Follow up, talk to them. Like don't come like if you. I have seen many people who coming like after 2 years when they need a job. Okay, भाऊ job है का? Like I can't. I don't know that guy. I don't know how he has performed for these 2 years. If he that guy comes to me and like after 2 3 months he just calls me and shares his idea. I share my idea, and that's how we are connected to each other. Then I know, okay, this guy know this much thing, and if I have a position, I can just freely go and refer him. So this is a kind of informal networking which you guys can do. Then there are deliberate networking. Is when you are on campus. You have to do. You have to talk to your colleagues because those are the one who might get placed. Those have a good research idea. You have to talk to them. Don't sit in your like go to class and then come home, cook and sleep. Then go join all the organization. For example, when I was in Texas A&M, I was president for Indian Graduate Student Association, which is like we had like around 2,000 students, Indian students. I had given a hosting to 500 students per year, and we had a budget, an income of $35,000 dollars, which was with Indian graduate student, whereas the Texas A&M Graduate Student Association had 7,000 or 8,000 of budget. So yeah, so that helped me when I went there. I joined there. I Indian Graduate Student Association. I went for sponsorship for the graduate student. I went to T-Mobile. I went to Wells Fargo. Okay, there are so many students coming to the United States. We will give you accounts. Please get us money. And that's how I got 35,000. Like we got 35,000 on that thing. So that's how it. The main thing for me is it improved my communication to go and talk to those people, not for helping but it improved me. So that's like talking to the people. I was also on the economics department group, so it helped me to connect with my professors a lot because they recognize, okay, he is from our economics. That's what someone covered, ma'am. I think someone covered. You should join those. Don't sit at home. That's the thing. Okay. And then there will be a lot of campus placements and many companies coming to your colleges, right? So the thing is, you have to be prepared for those job fairs. And how can you be prepared? Okay, so one of my American friends said you should always have a 15-second version, 30-second version, 1 minute kind of version, 45-second version of your elevator speech. So if someone meets you in an elevator speeches, someone meets you in an elevator, you just have 15 seconds, 10 seconds. So your speech should be ready. Okay, how to talk? You should okay, ting. So you should be able to, talk to them freely. So, okay, these are some tips. I'll just wind up. These are the tips for networking. Everyone has covered this thing. LinkedIn, the most important thing. So your resume, your LinkedIn profile is something which develops with you for these 2 years. It's not like I want to find a job now. It's been like I've graduated. Let's make a LinkedIn profile and let's make a resume. It's not done, guys, like that. You have to start on the first day when you land. My roommate, he made his resume on the first day when he landed. Campus placement dhundna hai bhai. From his so it's like that. You have to start from the first day. Whatever you learn, put it on your LinkedIn. It should be up to date so that recruiters come and talk to you. Talk to many people on LinkedIn. Anyone, directors, VPs, anyone. Just send them a message. Okay, I want to meet you. I want to talk to you. Blah blah blah. Okay. Many of my Chinese friends, they just send people the messages on LinkedIn and they go on lunch with them. Just a kind of networking. Okay, so this is LinkedIn is one thing. This is a new kind of thing which I just wanted to introduce to you guys. I don't know many of you go. So for me, there is a website called as Meetup. Okay, where many like-minded people come and meet with each other. I always attend those data science happens to at Exchange Place, Jersey City, and there is one meetup happens in New York. I try to attend both of them. If you want to go, running every day, there are meetups for running people also. So any kind of, so you can just try and see, okay, I am interested in this. So the thing is, you meet new people. So that's the reason. Elevator speech, I have told you. I will share this slide. You can just go through it. Version and what to talk. So I said like 10-second version, what to include in 10-second version. It's on that. As a student, you always make your business card. Okay, this is a big business card format from my university. Because when you go to this job fairs or anyone you meet, okay, you give your business card to them so that they remember, okay, whatever talk you had. So once you just go home and take oh yeah, I know I met this guy or this girl, and if he has a position or if he's interested in any more information or talks, he can just reach out to you. Any questions? That's it.
Actually, it's more of a comment on networking. It's actually a communication. So within our group itself, let's say only for the new students who are actually looking for a job or trying to connect with another community member among our own community. So on the WhatsApp, they just said hi sometimes. Instead of that, you can just write a message. You can save it somewhere. Hi, my name is so and so. I have done this, and I got a reference from this, and I am already searching for job for last 6 months, 7 months, and not getting. You can write that instead of hi and they will.
Yeah, that's true.
They would for that reply, and they don't get reply. They will say, man, this mentor is actually, they're not replying to me.
Replying to me, right? Yeah, I'll give you one small example of networking. Okay, I just remembered when. So there was one guy who used to be in our college. Okay, the dumbest guy you can say. I don't want to push on him, but I know because he doesn't know, he didn't know how to use a laptop or anything. He used to write on notepad, not also Word, because Words mein formatting hai. Okay, but there was a good quality about that guy. Okay, he used to go in any events, meet any people, anyone. He used to copy all assignments. He was so dumb. My all the student in his class used to hate him. That guy was the first one to get an placement in a top oil company, and then whole class was abusing him. So, but they didn't realize that for the start of the day he was into networking and meeting people and talking to them. You can't start on the final day, or so you have to make in these 2 years. You have to develop LinkedIn, resume, and your network, and then we all are here. That's it. Thank you.
Just wanted to share one thought here. So guys, as he emphasized on LinkedIn, so most of us, like senior people, senior professionals, are there on the LinkedIn, right? Most of us are there on the LinkedIn. The amount of messages I get from Chinese people, Chinese students, at least one per week, seeking job, seeking internship. I haven't received any email from Indian students. Not even the people who know me from our group who are doing financial engineering, financial management, or financial mathematics. So look at the effort, guys. So when I'm going to be in need, I readily have this person's, resume, nice letter, his, determination to, seek something, to do something. And, very politely they will write, seek an appointment for lunch, coffee. You're going to call them. I am not going to remember somebody who just, met me once. Here I have the profile with me. So that's the difference. So guys, please take these pointers, approach HR people, approach people who are, holding senior positions of your interest, area of interest, and tell them, ask them for some time. As Judge also said, they always like to, know if you are interested in something that he or she does. And that is very helpful, guys. Very, very helpful.
But Vinaya,
Yeah.
when you say they write a polite note,
Mostly.
what is the protocol? I mean, how do you write a polite? I mean, is there a format that someone could have a template-ish kind of thing which you felt very
So, as Jayashree was mentioning, tone, right? Tone of your
The point is, even if we feel
I can
I'm
share
saying
some
Indian,
standards. I can share some standard letters that I
so
received.
like some of the students.
I will definitely, guys. But because they are there in my mailbox still. So
I'll just add something here. No, it's okay. It's fine. What
Indian
basically
people are also listening. India.
Oh, okay. Basically, in this context of networking, this concept for a student learning all the skills up to graduation in India is a totally new concept. So you have to emphasize this more on the students who are aspiring. Because what happens in India is, the modus operandi is, you graduate, you're not supposed to hunt job. Once you graduate, get a degree and then start for the job hunting. The scenario has been changed due to campus. But again, campus is a ready spoon feeding. So they don't go through these triggers of, getting connected with somebody. So here we have a sample space of 6 students. But I guess we have a larger space back in India. So once they're starting to prepare, that is the point they should be. And like Shashank said that they will send hi. This is again a cultural difference. I will say hi to you. If you don't respond, you feel okay, the other person is not interested. That is how we are being brought up. So what I feel is like this cultural aspects have to be propagated back in India before they hit the shows here, and then we try to groom them. That is what I feel.
Any other comment on this? Anybody else? Oh.
Thank you. Thank you. This is very rich, and I think what the presentation was quite wonderful. Just this past week, I was at Princeton University for a course for the UN, and the students there, there were some modules where they allowed the students to come and meet with our UN people. And definitely this was what they were doing, they were networking. And it was very impressive. They would come up to you, they would talk to you, and they would say, this is who I am, this is what I'm interested in, and what do you think of this idea? Or sometimes they would say, what do you do? I would like to sort of explore this. And the assumption there, which I think all of you should also think about, is the cultural one, where perhaps we're not brought up a certain way, or we have some inhibitions or lack of confidence, is that even if someone is senior, in the old school it was, if someone's very senior or elder, we don't say anything, we don't challenge, we don't, whatever they say, yes sir, yes ma'am, yes sir, yes ma'am. But I think just the way LinkedIn is changing, generationally people are also changing. So when you talk to someone, don't assume just because they're senior they know everything, right? They're also learning from you, and they're learning your perspective. So I think that element can help in building the confidence. But that's something that you have the opportunity for here in many ways. That's what I think the cultural element here is more open. It allows for that type of two-way conversation versus a one-sided conversation with a senior.
Can I just quickly, I think the tone what you mentioned is very important, because here we are asking for networking, and if I think, for example, in Indian context, it might sound aggressive. Kya chaat raha hai uski baar baar, kind of. It would appear very, so many times. So when you say this, approaching and it appears very, in a certain way, I don't want to do that. If he or she is interested, if they are interested, they would have told me the first time. So how that soft tone adding, I don't know where to do that. Even we write emails, we get emails. We should make a format or template, something like a.
Yeah, Anna has some templates and we can certainly share.
And we can also build upon that. We can write our own, Yeah.
Can I add to that? And just to add to that, if you are emailing someone on LinkedIn or approaching someone whom you don't know, the trick is not to ask directly for a job. Instead, you should just actually ask them. So you should ask them as to what they do, what skills is required for this job, and then try to match those skills to what you already know, so that you are establishing a connection rather than outright asking for a job, which is a no-no. So just keep it in mind.
Yeah, that's why I said rather you approach somebody, let them approach you, right? Let them approach you in the sense what, once you'll have that knowledge, and if you are having the same thoughts and same platform, then they will definitely approach you. I've seen so many guys that we approach them. Okay, can you do it in the Python? How we can do it? Oh, we do have some project issues, and we posted, and somebody posted to that. So it's kind of it's, how you are taking the initiative to talk to the world, not in just.
And I'll just point out for the students here, almost every college and campus has a career services office. And if they themselves aren't putting these sessions on, you can always go and ask them. So you can go to the campus office and say that, I'd love to have a networking event, or I'd love to have a training event. I've known institutions that have even done things like, how do you sit down to a formal dinner? Which fork do you use? Which is the salad fork? Like, what's the soup spoon? So most universities will offer this, especially international student offices. But if they don't, go and propose it to them. Ask the career service office, can we have a session on writing emails that fit the American cultural context? And they'll do it. So the resources are there.
And most of these criteria are followed up in the Ivy Leagues. They don't have
Yes.
1 hour interview or half an hour.
Yeah,
They
agreed.
have the entire days
Yeah,
spent with them.
yeah. Ivies and the liberal arts colleges focus a lot on this. Yeah.
And one new thing that I learned from your presentation, what was the business card? Can we print the business card through university?
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, that is something that was unknown to me. So please, I think that's a very good way of keeping somebody in touch. Just float your business cards, and then if they are interested, they will reach out.
So there's a website which on where you can print business cards for free. It's a desktop.com.
Yes, that's very cheap, and they have really good designs.
You can get like 50 or 100.
Meetup is also important.
Because
because in the meetup when I go to those meetups, everyone is from my field, data science field. Everyone from like half of them is looking out for getting into data science, half of them are looking out for getting people to get recruited. So everyone over there, are in need of something, and you can just go meet them up. You can talk to them about your projects and all, and yeah, it can just happen.
And trust me, guys, as a manager, nothing like hiring a trustworthy person. So the first thing that a manager looks at whether I can trust this guy. Okay, if I find somebody trustworthy, I'm going to 50% or even 80% you are in. Technical things can be learned over a period of time. There are firms are there to give it technical training, but you have to develop that credibility, okay, for your manager to hire you.
Okay, I was about to thank Anup, but I really feel that I should thank everybody, pretty much everybody got involved with this very, very critical, important discussion. One thing from my bit, and since I got the mic now, I'll express it now, is that what is that format, what is that template that to approach somebody and, even if they're not interested, and how to break that ice. And I think it's an acquired skill. It's something that you have to develop the salesmanship about selling yourself. It's a capitalist country. You will be requiring that not just for getting a job, but getting promotion, getting work done from your colleague. So it is an acquired skill which you should invest in. All of us should invest in to really, get going in this country. So there is no single silver bullet to that. It's something all of us have to work towards it. Okay, Anup, thank you so much for giving this wonderful presentation. I'm especially impressive with all those committees that you headed and got results going, and that's very inspiring for the new students. I'm sure that beyond education and beyond coming home, cooking, you forgot the eating part, cooking and sleeping, but there is more to it. Now I call upon Mahendra Rajwade. He is going to present the objective to be a winner.
Thank you everybody for staying awake so long. It's been a long day for everybody, and specifically I congratulate students to not be here, and we are very happy to see you here because we've been mentoring you for quite some time, and you are the results for us, which is very much visible here. I thank you everybody for giving me the opportunity. The little bit of the objective identification. Now, I'll give one small story. Everybody must have seen it or watched it. There's a lady in Pune. There was a marathon. She is like 70 plus years, and she ran through the marathon and she won it. The only objective for her was to get the money and get her husband cured for the cancer treatment or the treatment what she wanted to give it to her husband. Now that's the objective, right? So everybody starts with that. So specifically with the students, I'm not focusing as of now with the elder generations or the people who are experienced, because they are grown up and you are growing for us. So you come here, right? You come here with certain aspirations, with some objectives. How you define your objective is what it takes you to there. You kept in mind that, okay, few months back, few years down the line, you thought, if I go to America, I will do my master's, and post-master's, I will get a good job, I'll earn good money, and then I live my life happily, right? That's what the dreams are begin with. And then you start working on that dreams. One of the steps is having a master's. And then you work for the master's, you need to have a GRE. So when you define your objective very clearly, right, you define your path. So as a student, right, you are here, we are talking about all the topics which are post 2 years, right from the day one. You have LinkedIn, you have the opportunity to develop your skill set, opportunity to see your future. That's what we are looking at. Define your objective in a bigger way, right? This is your personal objective. Now change a little bit further. Okay, you change it a little bit further. How do I make sure in next 2 years to get my two of my family members here on the same visa which I'm on, right? So your objective have changed, right? It gives you a lot of motivation to achieve that objective, right? So you broaden your perspective slowly, gradually. I don't say that you should do it from the day one. It's good if you can do that, but you create a determination within yourself to achieve a bigger objective. You define your objective, which can be achievable, and I'm sure it is achievable. To my understanding, what Buddha did or what Baba Sahib did, they had a very big objective. He thought, I have gone through all these things. My community is going through. If I die, nothing is going to change for them. He had a very big objective of changing the entire society. So he did that. And that was the only objective he carried throughout his life. It is good that if somebody can come to that level of objectivity. But if you can make yourself on a bigger level of objectives, I think if you stick to that objective throughout your life or throughout your curriculum or throughout your process of growing here, at one point in time or in one day or some certain point in time, you will be there. You will find, okay, we never had a vision that, as a family from very small village, I never had a thought about going to America and studying here or working here or whatever it is. No, I never had that kind of dream. Nobody told me. My dad said to become engineer or doctor. That's the bottom line. We never thought about coming here, right? But looking at the different scenarios in India, I determined personally myself, no, this is not the life. My son has to go to school, and then some point in day he will be called, oh, this guy belongs to SC because his roll number is marked in red. No. So my objective was to come here to give them a better life. So every student has to find a bigger objective within themselves. Create that. Think about it. It's not a one-day achievement. It may take a couple of years. Take it. At one point in your life, you will come to that objective. Okay, this is going to be my objective. And then you work on that objective and one day you will achieve it. Right? Another example, I will be concluding my session. I'm not taking much time here, but I would like to give another example of everybody knows about Steve Jobs, right? He never went to any college. He is not an electronic engineer. He is not a computer science engineer. But he created something which can be used and remembered for the generations to come, right? Same goes with every one of us. What is the legacy you are going to create behind you, right? So think about that. Give a thought. What is my legacy? What is my next generation is to say about me? Otherwise, all your dreams are going to be in the graveyard. And that is the reality. So before you get there, you create something which can be said, okay, this is what he did for his life. I think that's the end of my topic. I can take any questions if you have. And for any questions you have, you follow Buddhism, you will get all the questions answered.
Thank you. Hello. Hello. Thank you, Mahendra. Thank you for that very inspiring. And at the fag of the day, we needed something like that. A 70-year-old lady winning the race to save her husband's life. It's something really telling in itself of the inherent capability of what we have and how much of it we really end up using. At this point in time, which is 5:10, Milind, what time do you have to vacate this place?
It's 7 o'clock, but we need at least 1 hour for.
So 6 o'clock is our breakaway from here, right? So we have a few agenda items. Let's prioritize and see which we can squeeze in. So one is a conclusion. One is what Vinaya said. We need to brainstorm on the expansion of this program.
Yeah.
I think Bhagat Sahib, your presentation on public speaking is important. So that's Milind, do you concur on that?
Yes. I think for you
If you can make it a little brief.
Yeah, I will make.
Otherwise, the mics will be muted.
Okay.
Doesn't make a difference.
He is a Toastmaster public speaker. Mike is his least problem.
Now, how to make the presentation? 15 minutes presentation in 5 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah. I can't make it to 5 minutes. It will not be the justice of the subject.
It's like salary negotiation.
Yeah.
Okay, Bhagat Sahib.
So when I was preparing for my presentations, the first question I was supposed to ask is, how many of you dread the public speaking? Do I need the mic?
Yes.
Because India folks are still
Okay. Yeah, that's why I thought that.
That's the reason I'm asking.
And after listening to all the speakers and presenters who came over here, I realized that that question doesn't make any sense. You are really professional speakers now. But when the question was asked to the people, what is the single most thing which they dreaded most? The answer is the public speaking. In fact, 30% of the Americans rate the fear of public speaking above the fear of death. And Jerry Seinfeld, to the average person, if you have to go to a funeral, you would be better off in the casket than giving the eulogy. That is the Jerry Seinfeld. So why we fearful of the public speaking? The one is shame of the failure. People are afraid their audience will reject them. Next is when we enter a state of social anxiety, and which is very common in the public speaking, our ability to pick up our angry faces is heightened. Let me say what does it mean? It means when we get the anxiety, we feel that everybody sitting in front of them are angry about us. And last one is not knowing the topics. When you don't know the topics, you can't speak, and that's why you get fearful about the topic. So how the confident speaker is different from the speaker who is fearful? The one is the confident speaker exhibit more passion. So what does it mean? The confident speaker has demonstrate 22.6% more passion than the fearful person. And their delivery exhibit the kind of energy and engagement that indicates they are really invested in their topics. Next is confident speaker offer more insight. The confident speaker incorporate on an average 1.2 times more topics than the fearful speakers. That means they deeper into the subjects what they are presenting on than the fearful speakers. And last one is confident speakers are more inclusive. That means confident speakers use 46.9% more inclusive language than the fearful speakers, meaning they are using the collaboration words and the personal pronouns to help the audience feel more involved in the message. Why public speaking is important? So as a student, so this presentation is created for the student, you need to give presentations. You need to give lectures, speak in public forums, ask questions in class, develops leadership skill, mentor other students, interview for internship job, and lastly, the public speaking fear is at the top, even above the death. So that's why you have to get that monkey off your back. Why it is important for you, and when I am saying you, means the students who are coming here from our community. Rural area background. Most of us are coming from the rural area background. We don't go to the colleges from the urban area where they are very fluent in English speaking and all this. Next is the economic conditions. We are poor. We cannot afford, our students cannot afford the good colleges, good coaching classes, and that's why they lack in the English speaking and the giving the public speaking. Social background. We know, and whether we deny or not, because of the social background and the community we are coming from, still we feel ourselves inferior when we are talking to someone else. And that Indian and regional dialects, we know there are thousands of the language in India, and there are so many regional language. And when we have that dialects in us, we feel very uncomfortable talking to the people, and especially when you come to USA, it's very prominent. And that all these conditions result into your confidence, and which affects your public speaking skill. So 10 tips for effective public speaking. So first is prepare to succeed. There is nothing more important than preparing. So that make time for some serious practice. Experts suggest that you should spend 60% of your time in planning and preparing the slides and 40% on your practice. Say it correctly. The pronunciations is important. So make sure that you are using the correct pronunciation of the word. When I was preparing this, the word geology, I was first pronouncing it geology. So I had gone into and then realized that it should be pronounced as eulogy. Next one is overcome your anxiety. So everybody who comes to speak, they always are anxious. How proficient he may be and always anxious. But nobody knows. The people in front of you, they don't know that you are anxious. So don't worry about that part. Those people have come here to listen you, to see that you are successful. They want to see what is the expertise you are going to show to them. So always overcome your anxiety by breathing and all these breathing technology before you start your presentation. Make first impression count before you even begin to present. The people make impression about you when they see you. So be prepared nicely, dress up nicely, clean, and look professional. Stand for attention. When you are giving a public speech, your posture is very much important. Your feet are shoulder width apart. Both the legs, you are giving the pressure equivalent on both the legs. So that standing for attention is very important. Last one is act naturally. So when you are giving any speech, you feel when you speak comfortably or naturally, the people understand. Make eye contact. The eye contact is the most important thing to make yourself comfortable. And that's why whenever you are giving the speech, try to start giving eye contact to one person. And when you have made the sufficient eye contact, then switch to the other person. That way you get attached to the person and the people start believing you whatever you are delivering. Show your feelings. So you may be very introvert person, but when you come to give a speech, start with a big smile. Make sure that the people understand that you are more interested in spreading your message with them. Last, make yourself heard, and that all related to your voice. So there are 3 aspects to the voice. That is your volume, the pitch, and the speed rate. So you have to be. You cannot be too loud, too slow. You cannot be too fast, too slow, and at the same time your pitch cannot be the monotonous. Otherwise, the people will get bored. Silence your distractor. There are some filler words we use. Before it. So you have to make a conscious practice to avoid those filler words while giving the speech. And the best way to do is that by using the silence or the pauses, deliberate silence or pauses. And when you will be practiced enough and become more comfortable, that there will be the reduction of those pauses and the silences. So where you can get all this practice, and that is where the Toastmasters comes into picture. So Toastmaster International is a non-profit organization, and I believe most of the colleges has this organization. It is a world leader in communication and leadership development. It is comprised of over 352 members in 16,400 clubs or 141 countries. And its mission is we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. So how does the Toastmaster help develop public speech? So they are having I will skip the thing. They have 2 parallel tracks. One is called as the communication skills and another is the leadership skill. So in case of the communication skill, the people get the prepared speeches. The Toastmaster members get the opportunity to prepare, practice and deliver speeches in front of the members. Next is the speech evaluation. Every speech you give in the Toastmasters Club is evaluated by very friendly peers. And lastly, the impromptu speaking. There is a table topics in every Toastmaster speech where you get the opportunity to give the impromptu speech of 1 to 2 minutes on the subjects given by the table topics master. Last one is the leadership skills. So roles you take during the Toastmasters meeting, there are multiple roles which gives you the leadership skill. I don't want to go into detail of those. Officer's role, every club of the Toastmaster has the different officers role. And when you take that officer's role, it helps you getting your leadership skill enhanced. Need to take, so there are the different events occur in the Toastmasters world. And those, when you are participating in those events, that will help you increasing your leadership skill. So why should you join the Toastmaster? Become a better public speaker, overcome public speaking fear, practice presentation for other audience, gain the confidence and courage to lead. And lastly, this is a safe sandbox to practice. Practice and try with no consequences. So when you are practicing in Toastmasters Club and you fail for some time, there is not going to be any reduction in your grades. If you are employed, there is not going to be any pay effect. And so that's why you should try this in the Toastmasters Club. And I would like to tell you guys that in case because of the financial consideration, you cannot join the Toastmasters Club, go as a guest and attend those Toastmasters Club. You can at least can participate during the table topics. Usually if you are not member, you are not allowed to give the speeches, but at least get the confidence, see how it works, and one day you can join the club. So I can explain how to join the Toastmasters Club or find. So if you are at this stage, hopefully you will be there after joining the Toastmasters Club. Thank you.
Oh, you are not taking questions.
Yeah, because of the time constraint. Means I can, during our networking and all this, if anybody has got question, I can answer.
Bhagat Sahib, thank you so much. This is really a very important topic. This is something that in every walk of life comes handy. More than handy, it comes as a necessity. And your guidance on that, your presentation will really go a long way. The only thing I have to comment on that is next year when we have the same conference, we'll keep it at the top of the day, first thing, so that the anchor can also benefit from all the hints that you give. Okay, dear friends from India, it was a pretty late out there, and thank you for staying up with us for this long. At this point, we'd like to conclude and we'd relieve you for catching up with your 8 hours. So thank you so much for attending, and hopefully whatever follow-up is required, that will happen one-on-one or on the conference sessions. Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya.